The events take place during the world's largest sporting event in history called the King of Gamers. The CEO of the corporation organizing the event encourages everyone to attend. According to him, whoever can win their tournament will receive the rights to own the entire corporation, adding that this game can bring the participants everything in their lives. With so much temptation, the KOG tournament has attracted millions of players around the world to participate. In one of the dungeons, a terrible monster falls dead after a well-aimed shot between the eyes from a laser weapon. The main character named Sam looks around and says that this monster was the latest. The game system notifies participants that they have successfully completed the dungeon and can now proceed to the final round. Sam turns to his comrades and says that they have one last test left to pass. Suddenly he freezes in place, and a sharp pain shoots through his body, burning through him. The source of terrible pain turns out to be a knife stuck not by a monster, but by a player, directly into the chest of the main character. Having recovered a little from the shock, Sam realizes that the player who stuck the knife in his body is his squad mate. He tries to squeeze out the question of why he did this, but only slides down powerlessly. The traitor tells him that he doesn't want to fight such a strong opponent as Sam in the finale, and asks him not to take it personally. According to the traitor, Sam should only blame himself for what happened for being too gullible. The game system notifies everyone that Sam is out of the game, but the main character, in his last thoughts, refuses to accept this ending to his story. A few seconds later, he regains consciousness in a cold sweat and sees the ceiling of the plane in front of him, causing him to scream loudly. Looking around, Sam realizes that something has clearly gone wrong. Standing up from his seat and taking another look at his surroundings, he realizes that he is in the cockpit of a plane for the first round of KOG called the 1000th Battlefield. Other participants on the plane look up in surprise at the protagonist behaving strangely. Sam approaches one of the participants and loudly demands to know today's date, month, and year. The participant looks at Sam with undisguised incomprehension and tells him that today is the 1st of July 2000XX, the first round of the KOG tournament. Sam is shocked by what he hears and mentally admits to himself that it is difficult for him to believe what happened. However, he realizes that he appears to have returned on the first day of the tournament after being killed by his teammate. Unable to overcome the emotions overwhelming him, Sam shouts that this time he will definitely not lose. His heroic thoughts are interrupted by a muscled man who grabs him by the collar of his t-shirt and loudly tells Sam that he is making too much noise. Pulling Sam closer, the man yells at him to ask him for permission before opening his mouth next time. Sam carefully peers into the face of his opponent, and his face changes dramatically, causing misunderstanding among the offender. Suddenly, Sam rushes at the man, hugging him and then calling him by name Stan and saying that they met him in the first round of the competition. He adds that he hasn't been killed yet this round, and Stan angrily pushes the protagonist away, asking him what he's carrying. Sam realizes that since he traveled back in time, Stan doesn't know him yet, and that's why he reacts so hostilely. Sam also remembers that Stan heroically sacrificed himself during a round of zombie siege, saving the lives of Sam and his comrades. Sam mentally tells himself that he won't let something like that happen this time. He extends his hand to Stan and says that in this round only 10 players out of 1,000 will be able to win, so they better team up. Stan examines Sam and his hand for a few seconds before swatting it away, giving him a menacing look. He says he doesn't need teammates and aggressively questions Sam about why he should trust him. After thinking for a moment, Sam turns around and leaves, telling Stan that he hasn't changed at all since their last meeting. Preparations for the first round of the tournament end and the landing compartment of the aircraft begins to slowly open. Having put on a parachute, Sam approaches the edge and turns to Stan, finally telling him that he will definitely want to join him. Stan just looks blankly at Sam's self-confident antics and tries to understand their reason. Sam says they'll see him later and bravely jumps out of the plane on a deadly adventure. The gaming system reports that 3 minutes have passed since the start of the round, adding that out of 1,000 participants, 964 remain alive. On the battlefield, hiding behind a rock, there is a sniper carefully stalking his prey. After a few seconds, he smugly says that his target is acting like a pathetic loser, so killing him won't be difficult. The sniper's target turns out to be a frightened newcomer, half blindly looking around in an attempt to detect a threat. The sniper happily concludes that this tournament, apparently, is attended by only beginners who know nothing about such games. Arrogantly bidding farewell to his victim, he gently presses the trigger of his rifle. However, suddenly someone shoots directly at his head, destroying the helmet protecting him, causing the sniper to fall to the ground. Lying helplessly on the ground, he realizes that it was all a set-up trap. Raising his eyes, he looks menacingly at the shooter, unable to squeeze out his name. The shooter turns out to be another player who used the so-called newcomer as bait to force the sniper to open up. The newcomer tells his comrade that he should not waste his time and just shoot the sniper, after which they can take his loot. Suddenly, loud car sounds are heard behind them, distracting them from killing the nameless sniper. The car turns out to be a huge Jeep, which rushes at full speed towards two players, threatening to crush them. The driver turns out to be Sam, who ironically asks them to show leniency since he is a novice behind the wheel. The former decoy player tries to dodge the Jeep by jumping to the side, but Sam deftly turns to the side, knocking down the enemy. The player, hit by a Jeep, falls to the ground dead, crashing loudly into a wooden box standing nearby. His accomplice looks in shock at the lifeless body of his comrade, removing his rifle from the safety. Pointing the rifle at the Jeep, he begins to scream nervously and opens fire to kill. Sam easily dodges the bullets by jumping out of the car and asking the player where he is shooting at. The player looks at Sam in surprise and is surprised at how he managed to jump out of the car without receiving any damage. He again starts firing towards Sam, trying to hit him, but the main character easily dodges the shots, making a dash forward. Having caught up with his opponent, Sam immediately plunges a knife into his heart, killing him instantly. Sam examines the bodies of the players he killed, and the system informs him that he received 200 points for eliminating 2 targets. The main character says that the items they have will be very useful to him in future battles. He takes players' armor and weapons, reloading the rifle and attaching a holographic sight to it. Having finished his preparations, Sam tells himself that compared to the tasks he has previously performed, this fight was just a warm-up. A wounded sniper watching the scene asks Sam if he has any more medicine, adding that Sam will still need strong teammates in the future. Sam turns around and carefully examines the wounded sniper, assessing him. Having made his decision, Sam says that the injured player is right, as he does need strong allies. Sam reaches forward and the sniper carefully pulls a gun from his back pocket to shoot the main character. However, Sam suddenly relaxes his hand and a knife easily slips out of his sleeve. Sam says that nevertheless, he does not need such allies and kills the insidious player with a lightning strike. Having received additional points, Sam thinks that it's time for him to acquire really strong allies. Meanwhile, the tournament broadcast reports that a new rule has been added to the current competition, thanks to which you can play using only your identity. Despite this, it did not scare anyone away, but rather attracted a lot of professional players. The commentator also reminds that in the KOG competition, players receive points for killing enemies and completing additional quests. According to the commentator, these points can be exchanged for various resources, adding that currently the player with the most points is Sam. Viewers look at Sam's portrait in surprise, trying to understand who he is and wondering if he is a professional gambler. All viewers of the broadcast admit that they have never heard of Sam before and are surprised at how he managed to get so many points. Meanwhile, the camera switches to the sniper's girlfriend, whose territory the intruder enters. This intruder turns out to be Sam, who notices the gunslinger girl and tries to dodge her shots. Taking proper aim, the girl says that the intruder is finished and easily pulls the trigger. Sam barely manages to dodge and hides behind a small fence, but the girl notices a visible helmet. Surprised by such carelessness, the girl thanks Sam for the light glasses and shoots him again. The bullet easily pierces the protruding helmet, but the girl does not receive any notifications confirming the murder. The girl looks forward in surprise and asks herself how this is even possible. The helmet falls, and the girl realizes that he was holding onto a branch and it was all a trap. She notes that she was careless and revealed her position, which means she needs to leave urgently. However, Sam figures out her location and climbs through the second-floor window with incredible speed. The girl makes a quick shot towards the main character, shouting at Sam to go to the next world. The main character dodges bullets, arrogantly telling the girl that she is moving too slowly. Taking advantage of the fact that the girl has run out of cartridges in the clip, Sam goes behind her and knocks her out with a blow from his palm. The girl loses consciousness and falls, but Sam holds her with his hand, preventing her from falling onto the stone floor. Examining his opponent, Sam also notes that she has not changed a bit and still has problems in close combat. After some time, the girl opens her eyes and sees Sam in front of her, who expresses joy that she has finally woken up. Realizing that she is suspended from the ceiling, the girl asks Sam to let her go immediately. The main character tells her that she doesn't have to worry, since they are not in the real world, which means she can hang there as long as she wants without the risk of getting a brain hemorrhage. The girl admits defeat, saying that if Sam is going to kill her, then he better not be a fool and do it now. Sam names the girl Astrid, saying that it would be very stupid if the strongest member of CG Squad died so ingloriously. Astrid tells Sam that she left CG Squad a long time ago. Sam calmly replies that he knew about it, since he is her biggest fan. The girl closes her eyes, swinging slowly on the rope, patiently waiting for Sam to finally say something relevant. The main character tells Astrid that if she makes a deal with him, he will immediately let her go. The girl asks him what kind of deal he is offering, to which he replies that he wants her to join him and become his ally. The girl tells Sam that it is better for him to kill him, since she will never join anyone's team. Having uttered these words, she remembers how everyone used to mock her appearance, weaving intrigues behind her back. Sam interrupts Astrid's flood of traumatic memories by telling her that all her past allies are idiots. He adds that he is the complete opposite of them and has something to oppose them with. According to the main character, he is an incredibly strong player. Astrid asks Sam to stop pretending that he knows everything, adding that all men are the same, and they are not so much interested in her level of skill as in her availability. Sam takes a close look at Astrid's body and notes that it looks amazing from this angle. Astrid swings back and headbutts him hard, angrily asking Sam what he was staring at. Sam squeezes the impact and notes that Astrid remains as hot-tempered as ever. Astrid tells Sam not to pretend that they know each other, and adds that if he wants to kill her, he better do it right now. Sam smiles and says that he will do everything his way, moving closer to the helpless Astrid. He takes out a knife and tells the girl that he will force her to join him in any case. He asks Astrid why she thought he was going to kill her and cuts her clothes a little in the chest area. Astrid begins to scream in fear and disgust and asks the main character what he wants. Sam leans over to her and says that there are probably hundreds of millions of people watching this round right now, and there are probably hundreds of thousands watching. Astrid looks at Sam blankly and asks him what he means. The main character answers the girl that if she does not promise to join his squad, he will show the audience some free services. With these words, he turns towards the camera and asks fans that those who want to look at the special services write 6 6s in the chat. Sam turns to Astrid and says that he will give her a few seconds to think, after which she says that she agrees to join him. Sam then cuts the rope and Astrid begins to fall onto the stone floor. However, Sam catches her without letting her fall, in front of a disappointed crowd demanding more drastic action from him. Sam looks at Astrid with satisfaction and says that she should treat him kindly and good-naturedly. Astrid looks away from the main character and demands to quickly put her on the ground. Sam lets go of Astrid and she falls to the floor with a thud, hitting the floor flat. Having cut the remaining ropes, she gets up and displeasedly tells the main character that she asked to be put on the ground and not to be let go. Sam hands Astrid her rifle, saying that she still lacks flexibility in close combat, noting that she is still a good shot. He comes to the window and says that they should gather more resources and get out of here. Astrid yells at Sam to hold his horses, and he turns his head in surprise to understand what she's talking about. The girl aims a rifle at him, saying that he will trust others too much. She takes aim at him and asks him why he doesn't seem scared at all from being held at gunpoint. Sam expresses confidence that if Astrid told him she would join him, he would never break her promise. He remembers how he was defeated by her before his rebirth, to which she told him that he was not bad, but still weaker than her. Then he, just like Astrid now, told her that if she wanted to kill him, then she better do it now. However, Astrid then told him that he could join her team and act as a squire. Sam then looked at Astrid with the same disbelief, not understanding what was stopping her from killing him at any moment. However, Astrid told him that if she promised him that she would be on the same team with him, she would never break her promise. With these words, Astrid smiled, forever etched in the memory of the main character, who received hope thanks to her kindness. Meanwhile, in the present, Astrid lowers her weapon and says that Sam is a very strange guy and she can't even imagine what's going on in his head. Sam opens the card and says that there is still a lot she doesn't know about his past and the current situation. According to him, the location in which they are now, the safe zone will continue to narrow, to which Astrid replies that she knows the rules of this round. Sam continues his thoughts, placing a mark on the map and saying that the center of the next safe zone will be right here. Astrid says that this is all just a guess, since the safe zone is generated randomly and he cannot know in advance where the next one will be. However, A new safe zone is generated exactly as Sam predicted, and Astrid wonders how this is even possible. Sam mentally rejoices that he remembered everything correctly, noting that everything is going according to his plan. Astrid asks Sam how he learned such details, suspecting that he is using cheats. Sam says he's never cheated in a game by throwing a knife in the air in his life. Having caught the knife, Sam gets into a heroic pose and says that he is a walking cheat code. Astrid looks down in embarrassment and tries to understand what kind of nonsense her newly minted ally is talking about. However, suddenly Sam quickly approaches her and covers her mouth with his palm so that she does not make unnecessary sounds. As soon as he removes his hand from Astrid's face, she asks him what he is doing, to which he motions for her to listen. Sam looks out the window and says that someone is here, watching a group of players approaching. He tells Astrid that it's time for them to test their teamwork against these opponents. Astrid says that their opponents outnumber them by 2.5 times, so they better not get into trouble, to which he replies that this is just a warm-up. The players look around, and one of them tells the captain that they should be careful, as they may run into an ambush. The captain replies that the place looks deserted, and then orders everyone else to move out in search of resources, adding that no one would dare attack the group of 5. After these words, the captain's head is pierced through by a bullet fired from a building that they considered abandoned. The players panic, and one of them shouts for the others to find cover and take positions. Turning around, he notices Sam flying towards him, who decides to use a knife for this fight. Other players try to shout to warn the player about the danger, but Sam kills his victim with lightning speed. The surviving players shout to each other that it is time for them to kill this show-off and open indiscriminate fire in his direction. Sam easily dodges the shots by running to the nearest stone shelter. Finding himself in a minimally safe place, he asks himself why their reaction is so slow. A second later, a well-aimed headshot instantly kills another player, and they realize that they are facing a group of opponents. Astrid takes an advantageous shooting position and begins to cover Sam with accurate shots, driving the opponents into a corner. One of the players loudly curses his bad luck and tells his ally to keep his head down and wait for him. He realizes that they are in a very unfortunate situation and suggests that they should run away. But suddenly Sam grabs his face. All the player manages to notice is Sam holding a knife to his throat. A split second later, the player's lifeless body falls next to the last survivor, and he completely loses his composure. He decides to take flight and hastily retreats, leaving the bodies of his former teammates behind. Astrid goes downstairs and watches the enemy flee, while Sam asks her if she's going to chase him. Astrid calmly says that he will not be able to escape from her, after which he raises his rifle and takes good aim. She kills the fleeing player with a well-aimed shot, and Sam says that he would not expect anything less from a professional player with such a level of shooting skill. Astrid forgives Sam not to flatter her, since she was able to show such a result only thanks to Sam, who diverted attention to himself. She also adds that this time their opponents were weaker than ever. Sam is lost in thought as he counts the number of players he has killed with his knife. Astrid questions him about why he only kills with melee weapons, adding that with his skills he could easily get a firearm. Sam replies that there are several reasons for this, clarifying that killing with a bladed weapon is worth twice as many points. At this second, a system notification is displayed in front of the heroes, which states that Sam receives an achievement for successively killing 10 targets with melee weapons, for which he is awarded a unique title and a mystical treasure chest. Astrid studies the text of the notification in disbelief, while Sam makes a theatrical gesture and introduces himself, saying his name. He tells her that KOG has a large number of hidden achievements that reward the player for completing. Astrid is surprised that Sam knows such hidden facts about this tournament and asks him who he is. Sam tells Astrid that he will tell her everything about himself a little later and opens the treasure chest. He looks carefully at the contents of the chest, not believing his eyes. Astrid, meanwhile, becomes incredibly interested in the reward and asks Sam what he got from the chest. Sam replies that inside the chest is an incredibly powerful and rare weapon. Astrid believes that it is a weapon and begins to express interested assumptions. Sam replies that there is something truly incredible in the chest and takes out a folding spear from there. Raising it above himself, he opens the spear, deciding to try it in action. He begins to swing it from side to side, telling Astrid that this is a very unusual and unique spear. Astrid correctly guesses that this spear can be saved and used in the future even after the end of the current round. Astrid says that this will only be fair if Sam can survive until the next round. She adds that in this round, everyone has a firearm, which means fighting with a spear is pure suicide. Sam replies that this is not an ordinary spear, but a gift from the system, which means it cannot be some kind of trinket. According to him, this spear is named Ninetails, and based on the name, it has 9 forms. With that, he opens the spear's built-in interface and begins browsing through all the available forms. Sam decides to spend 500 points to unlock a new spear form that turns it into a bow. After purchasing a bow upgrade, Sam watches as his spear transforms into a composite bow. Sam says that one of the bow form's abilities is to automatically create arrows, which can be a big help when resources are limited. The main character pulls the bowstring and decides to test the killing power on a nearby stone. According to him, in this round, the most important thing is not the number of kills, but survival. And with this, the bow can help a lot, since it makes almost no sound when firing. Astrid watches the bow's arrows easily destroy a huge rock and admits that she is very impressed. Sam mentally notes that in his past life, the player who completed this quest did not receive the Ninetails. Astrid says that she also wants to get such a weapon for herself and asks the main character how she can get one of these awards. Sam replies that if such rewards were too easy to obtain, then everyone would have them. Meanwhile, the system notifies all players that there is now an event called a fox hunt in effect in the round, the essence of which is that Sam's location will be marked to everyone, and whoever eliminates him will receive 1,000 points as a reward. The description also says that if Sam remains alive for 24 hours, then the reward for victory will go to him. Astrid carefully reads the description of the notice and says with surprise that now a real hunt has opened for Sam. The heroes open the map, and Sam's location is immediately shown on the map as a huge icon. Seeing an advertisement about the hunt for Sam, Stan and the team he hastily put together decide to go after him to get some glasses. Also, a professional player named Alexis rushes in pursuit of Sam, offended that the main character behaves so mysteriously. Meanwhile, Sam and Astrid are driving the jeep at full speed, and Sam tells his companion that if she wants to leave, then she still has the opportunity since she is now in danger next to him. Astrid calmly replies that this is an extremely pathetic reason to abandon her ally. She also jokingly adds that in extreme cases, she can get these 1,000 points for herself by simply shooting Sam. Sam smiles and asks Astrid what her real motivation is. Astrid laughs sincerely and tells the main character that she is just joking and he doesn't have to worry about anything. After a while, Sam presses the brake pedal and tells his companion that they have finally arrived. Looking around, Astrid realizes that their destination is a bizarre stone structure that serves unknown purposes. When Astrid asks what kind of building this is, Sam replies that it is a bunker, which will also serve as a trap that he will prepare. Astrid follows Sam, carefully approaching the steps and asks him what kind of trap he plans to set here. Sam turns his head to Astrid and tells her that soon she will be able to see everything with her own eyes. Meanwhile, Stan's team is racing at full speed towards the protagonist in several cars. Having opened the map, Stan is surprised that Sam's marker has not moved in 2 hours and suspects that he simply decided to lock himself in some kind of bunker. Approaching Sam's location, one of Stan's allies notices a parked car, noting that it is parked in an obvious location. Another Stan ally approaches him and says that there are probably a huge number of traps inside, so serious difficulties may await them. Stan's other comrades agree with this statement, saying that in any case only the killer will get points and they will get nothing. Stan says that they are all brothers, so he doesn't care which one kills him, then adds that he will try to disarm all the traps to keep his allies safe. He also adds that those who don't take risks don't drink champagne, and goes to the bunker, inviting others to follow him and watch his back. Stan and his entire squad look around nonchalantly and are caught on surveillance cameras installed inside the bunker. Sam watches Stan and says that he is very glad that he came, as it will save him time searching. Astrid asks Sam about who Stan is, to which he tells her that she will get answers later. But for now, she should enjoy the show. Astrid says that only Sam can be so calm and collected despite the fact that an entire server is hunting him. Turning to the group of defeated enemies, Astrid says that it all looks like Sam is using cheats. Having gone further, Stan's squad stumbles upon the previously defeated players and some of his comrades begin to panic, saying that they need to get out of here. However, at that same second, the door slams behind them, and they find themselves locked in a creepy room. Stan tries to reassure his allies and wonders how Sam is able to use the game's traps. Suddenly, the player's attention is drawn to a screen hanging on the wall, which turns on to show Sam wearing a mask. Stan shouts to the main character to stop hiding and come out for a fair fight, to which he replies that he wants to play one game. With these words, gas begins to flow into the room from the ventilation, and Sam says that this gas will gradually reduce the health points of all players inside, adding that the first aid kits they brought can briefly delay the effects of this gas. Sam says that in 10 minutes he will open the door, beginning to announce the start of his cunning game, but the screen breaks from shotgun blasts. Stan says he's tired of hearing pretentious speeches, adding that he believes in his team. He takes out his medical supplies and tells his comrades to split into two groups, one to look for a way out and the other to use the medical supplies, adding that they will do so in turns to ensure their survival. However, his comrades just stand there and look at him, stunned, and Stan asks them why they don't do anything. One of his comrades asks Stan why he should share with someone, adding that he has enough medicine for himself. After these words, someone shoots right through this player with one well-aimed and lethal shot. The killer aims the weapon at his victim's head, saying that she will no longer need these supplies. Astrid looks at the cameras in surprise and does not understand why the players immediately began to fight each other while Sam takes off his mask, saying that Stan is a good strategist and player. However, according to Sam, Stan underestimates human nature, which, in his opinion, is unchangeable. Stan approaches his dying comrade, not having time to cure him with a first aid kit, and watches him disappear before his eyes. Enraged, he grabs the killer and asks him what the hell he's doing, adding that he just killed his partner. The traitor replies that it would be more logical to leave only the strongest than to let everyone die, adding that Stan should have realized that their medical supplies would not last 10 minutes. He also notes that if they kill half the people, they can definitely get out of here alive. He adds that these people are neither brothers nor allies, but just expendables. But Stan interrupts his reasoning with a blow to the face. Stan says he will never give up allies for short-term gain, even if they are temporary. The killer says that Stan is too gullible, after which several shots are fired into his back. The bullets hit the armored part of Stan's body and he falls to the ground, remaining alive. Stan holds his wounds with his hands, unable to believe that his comrades would so easily decide to betray him. The assassin rises to his feet and says that they were never loyal to him, which means they never betrayed anyone, adding that they all joined him because he was strong. He puts a gun to Stan's head and says that he is too stupid for treating his comrades with trust when they were simply using him to defeat him. After these words, Sam reappears on another screen, applauding the players and saying that he is impressed. He adds that for the sake of victory, they quickly came to the only correct solution. Poe lifts the stone door, saying that they are free to leave now. Stan's former comrades tell him that since they have cleared everything up, he can die here from poison in splendid isolation. With these words, they turn to the exit and move together towards their freedom. The new leader also adds that he will kill anyone who dares to save Stan or help him in any way. Astrid, observing the scene, concludes that they actually began to fight each other. Turning towards Sam, she finds him heading towards the exit and asks him where he is going. Sam opens the doors and says it's time to receive the fruits of his own labor. The squad of traitors continues to carefully walk along the dark corridor, and the leader reminds them not to activate the traps. After some time, they approach the stairs to the second floor of the bunker, where Sam is already waiting for them, politely greeting them. The leader of a gang of traitors points a gun at him and says that the main character is apparently tired of living, since he so openly came out to meet them. Sam says he thinks he'd better not shoot his gun so recklessly here. One of the players notices gasoline spilled on the floor and says that firing their guns could ignite it. The leader becomes furious and tells Sam that he promised to let them go, but instead led them into a new trap. Sam takes out a Molotov cocktail and says that the leader misunderstood his words. The main character throws a bottle with a burning mixture and says that the fact that he told them that he would let them go did not mean that they would leave alive. Players notice a Molotov cocktail flying at them and try to run to the sides to avoid ending up in a puddle of gasoline, but they are moving too slowly. The hall is temporarily filled with the terrible screams of people burning alive, who are trying in vain to escape from the burning hell. Sam watches what is happening, and the system continues to send him notifications of kills, awarding points, after which the system informs him that for consecutive killing of 5 or more targets using fire, he will receive a mysterious treasure chest, as well as the unique title of BBQ Master. Sam happily grabs the chest, saying that he received a new title thanks to just one incident. The tournament spectators are incredibly surprised that Sam managed to kill 10 players with just one Molotov cocktail. Viewers begin to suspect Sam of leadership due to the fact that he has already received 2 unique titles in one round. A leading local media outlet asks one of the tournament's creators if he wanted to say anything to clear up viewers' doubts about Sam. A man named Chen Jing replies that Koji is a completely fair competitive video game on a global scale, in which it is impossible to use cheats, and asks all viewers to look at this situation rationally. Meanwhile, the leader of the traitors gets out of the pile of burnt bodies, saying that he is not dead yet, which means he will go to victory to the last, even if he has to betray everyone. He continues to crawl on one hand, and after a few seconds, someone's legs appear before his eyes. Looking up, he sees Stan looking at his former squadmate with disappointment. He grabs him by the pant leg and asks him not to kill him, saying that they are brothers, but he does not listen to him and grabs his hand. Stan lifts the traitor above him, telling him that, unfortunately, his game has already come to an end. With these words, he takes out his knife and quickly kills the traitor, finally sarcastically calling him brother. Sam greets Stan again, happily telling him that he knew they would meet again. Stan turns to Sam and says he remembers him, asking what he needs this time. Sam says that Stan remembers everything correctly and jumps from the second floor to him. However, it does not take into account the game's fall damage mechanics and lands with a thud in front of Stan's feet. Having recovered, he sits on the floor and says that for a second he became too careless, forgetting about the rules of this round. However, the beginning of an intimate conversation is interrupted by Astrid, who makes a well-aimed kick to Sam's cheek. She begins to beat him, saying that Sam could have left a couple of opponents for her because she also needs points, while Stan is surprised that he was able to lose to these guys. Sam tells Stan that they defeated themselves, and he made a minimum effort for this. Stan doesn't understand what he means and freezes in surprise. Sam replies that in fact the gas that was sprayed into the room was extremely low in concentration and would not have killed them even if they had not used medication. He adds that if his comrades had been faithful to him to the end and taken advantage of his plan, then everyone would have survived. Stan laughs heartily, surprised that he didn't realize this sooner, adding that everyone here plays solely to win. He adds that Sam defeated him, so he has every right to kill him. Sam replies that the Stan he knew would never give up and accept such a fate. Stan again asks the main character not to pretend that they know each other, because they don't. Sam tells the story of a mysterious player called the Raging Tiger who fought like a meteor, adding that Stan knows more about him than anyone else. Stan squeezes his hand and says he didn't expect anyone else to remember the rampaging tiger ghost. Astrid approaches Sam and whispers to him that this is the player who killed the top 7 players at the national competition and then disappeared without a trace. Sam takes out his spear and says that it would be stupid for someone like Stan to die here and invites him to fight, adding that if Sam defeats him, then he will join his team. Stan agrees and tells the main character not to beg him for mercy later. Astrid stops Sam, telling him that if they really are the ghost of a raging tiger, then they will never defeat it. Sam agrees with Astrid but asks her what else he can do besides the fight. Without waiting for an answer, he rushes into battle with the words that if he doesn't try, then nothing will definitely work out. Stan's memories take him back 10 years to a time when virtual reality was just beginning, to the finals of a national competition. The commentator announces that on the red side of the ring is the great champion nicknamed the Holy Fire Sword, Quan. Quan's opponent, according to the commentator, is a newcomer to this kind of competition, nicknamed the Ghost of a Raging Tiger. Quan tells himself that he has never heard his name, adding that it will be incredibly easy to win. Having carried out all the preparatory activities, the final of the tournament begins, and a signal about the start of the fight is displayed in the ring. Quan rushes into battle, but after just 19 seconds of the first round, he loses miserably to the underdog. Not believing what is happening, Quan jumps up from his seat and screams at his monitor in rage. The host shouts out with theatrical grace that Quan was defeated in just 19 seconds by their new champion. With that, he points to young Stan and says that the current champion is the ghost of the Raging Tiger. The crowd begins to cheerfully chant Stan's nickname, and he raises his hand in the air, basking in the glory of the winner. Returning to the present, he squeezes his hand and mentally asks himself if he can achieve the same glory again. Meanwhile, Sam yells at him not to be distracted and rushes at him with his spear. Stan comes to his senses in time and takes out his machete, knocking down the protagonist's attack. Sam says that Stan is still as strong as he was back then, to which he replies that he turned out to be no weakling either. The heroes continue to strike each other with swift blows, but none of them achieves the goal. Sam replies that if it weren't for all his training, he wouldn't have been able to last this long, especially against such a strong opponent. Meanwhile, Stan decides to end this once and for all and flies into the air to perform a powerful attack called the Tiger Kick. Sam only manages to place a block at the last moment and flies off to the side at high speed, unable to stop the kinetic energy of the impact. Astrid watches Sam's flight and hopes that she won't have to scrape the remains of his body off the wall. Stan says that no one will be able to stand up after such a blow, prematurely declaring himself the winner. However, Sam, despite being seriously wounded, rises to his feet, saying that now the end has come for Stan. With these words, he changes the shape of the spear, turning it into a bow, greatly surprising Stan. Sam jumps into the air, taking good aim at Stan and saying that at this distance he won't be able to dodge. A split second later, Sam fires a shot that flies through Stan at incredible speed and crashes into the wall. Stan comes to his senses and realizes that the arrow only grazed his face without hitting anything else. Sam states that it was a little unfair of him to shoot the bow since it was completely unexpected, adding that he will consider it a draw and expressing hope that Stan will join his squad after all. Stan stops in his tracks and looks at Sam again, considering his offer. After thinking a little, he shakes Sam's hand and says that he will gladly accept his invitation. The heroes hug in a friendly manner, and Sam joyfully calls Stan brother, to which Stan calls him Baby Sam. Astrid, watching this scene, says that it's time for them to call it a day. Stan takes Sam aside and asks him who this charming lady is. Astrid is about to introduce herself, but Stan doesn't let her say anything, asking the main character if she is his girlfriend. Astrid annoyedly replies that they are nothing more than allies, and Sam explains that she is their sniper. Stan thoughtfully asks Sam if she is a female player, to which she immediately points a gun at him and asks if he has anything against it. Stan quickly replies that he didn't think anything of it, saying that the girls are definitely good at playing, and then asks her to put down her weapon. However, this skirmish is interrupted by a shot hitting near Stan's leg, and the heroes turn back to see the shooter. It turns out that they were overtaken by fighters from Alexis's squad, who came to receive a reward for Sam's head. 3 people enter the bunker, saying that the glasses will belong to them. Astrid accuses Sam of being careless, saying that they should have left quietly and not had ceremonial fights. Sam replies that Astrid doesn't have to worry because he has a plan for just such a situation. Stan turns to Sam and says that he is incredibly interested in what kind of plan he came up with. The main character replies that his plan is extremely simple and consists of quickly fleeing the battlefield, after which he leaves with incredible speed. Astrid and Stan follow his example, saying that he could not have delayed his announcement, while the hunters make their way further into the bunker in search of their prey. Not far from the bunker, Alexis observes what is happening through binoculars, saying that things are taking an increasingly interesting turn. Alexis's assistant says that if they don't do anything, someone else will definitely catch Sam. Alexis responds that he very much doubts his subordinate's ability to kill Sam. He adds that several groups of players have already entered this bunker, and no one has returned, which suggests that many traps awaited them inside. From Alexis's point of view, Sam will inevitably have to go outside, since the safe zone is constantly changing. Alexis's assistant says that he is a truly professional player, since he knows about such subtleties. Alexis ends her reasoning by saying that even if they don't catch Sam, they will definitely meet him on the real hunt. Meanwhile, the hunters are wandering around the bunker looking for the fugitives, saying that they could be anywhere. Suddenly, the lights in the room turn off and the hunters tell each other to be on their guard, as there are many traps here. The reason for the blackout turns out to be Sam, who says that it's time for them to go on the offensive. Stan and Astrid say that turning off the lights can't help them much since they also can't see their opponents. Sam, who has acquired night vision goggles, approaches Astrid to examine her and says that he sees everything perfectly. Not appreciating Sam's methods for communicating with the opposite sex, Astrid hits him hard on the cheek, causing him to fly several meters back. She puts on her night vision goggles and adds that just because Sam has them doesn't mean he can stare at her. Stan says that he has never found anything like this and asks the main character where he got 3 pairs of such glasses. Sam replies that he was just very lucky, mentally believing that they should stay in the bunker for a while. Astrid says Sam keeps so many secrets that she wouldn't be surprised if one day he pulls a gun out of his pockets. Stan tells the main character that they are in the same boat and asks him what they plan to do with those who have come for their heads. Sam says now is the time to kill and takes out his weapon, selecting the bow shape on it. Two hunters wander in the dark, and one of them says that they have a lot of worries, to which her ally replies that she should not bother herself with such thoughts. However, he then tells his ally that she can just give him her number so they can have fun later in the real world. No one answers the unlucky hunter, and he looks around, trying to figure out where his companion has gone. Taking a closer look, he notices that the huntress was killed by an arrow hit in the temple and lies on the stone floor. The hunter leans over her body angrily and says that she could have left her number before she died. A split second later, Sam approaches the hunter and impales him with his spear, killing him with one blow. Pulling out his spear, Sam looks around in search of other opponents. After getting 100 points for a melee kill, Sam says that even if it's just a game, it's impossible to win if you don't take it seriously. After searching the hunters, the main character is surprised that despite the fact that they are a newly formed team, their weapons are quite primitive. Carried away by the process, he does not notice how other hunters are approaching him and pinning him down with heavy fire. A few seconds later, one of the players is killed by a well-aimed shot to the forehead from an unknown location. Realizing that they are being targeted by a sniper, the hunters run to the nearest shelter, and Astrid says that her hour of glory has finally come. All hunters hide behind wooden pallets, giving the main character a chance to recover and go on the attack. Sam decides to take advantage of the pause and decides to go on the offensive, telling Astrid to be careful. The hunters peek out from cover, saying that it has become too quiet and deciding to quietly sneak away. However, a second later, Sam jumps onto the wooden pallet, asking them if they are looking for him. The hunters try to escape, but he grabs them by the necks and begins to choke them until they die. Sam again receives increased points and is happy that additional rewards are given for killing with melee weapons. Sam gets too carried away and one of the hunters swings a crowbar, saying that the reward will go to him. However, Stan interrupts him by stabbing him in the back with a powerful machete. He tells Sam that he is getting too wild, so he should be careful. Sam replies that it is very difficult for him to behave calmly in this game. Suddenly, they are blinded by the bright light of a wrist lamp, which is visible in one of the dark corridors. The characters look at the light and ask themselves what kind of object this is. A squad of hunters enters the hall, whose leader says that now they have light, thanks to which they can defeat him. Suddenly, their portable flashlight is shattered by a well-aimed shot from a sniper rifle. The hunters look at the broken flashlight in horror and immediately begin to panic. Astrid observes their behavior with undisguised incomprehension, calling them idiots. The leader of the hunters is surprised that their lamp broke due to a simple shot, and his allies begin to ask him why he raised it so high above his head. In the dark, the hunters begin to panic and water everything that moves, including their own. Sam and Stan hide behind cover, and the main character offers Stan another friendly competition, since their fight ended in a draw. Sam suggests comparing which of them can kill the most players, and Stan happily agrees. After some time, the last hunter falls dead, and Sam decides to turn on the light. Stan cleans his machete and asks Sam which one of them has the most kills. Sam, smiling, replies that unfortunately, after a certain point, he stopped counting. After looking around, the heroes are convinced that the bunker has been cleared, and the system sends a notification that only 675 players are left alive. Sam still decides to show off and says that it still seems to him that the victory is his. However, his show of modesty is interrupted by a well-thrown can of energy drink. Astrid says that if they fought honestly, he would have lost long ago and takes a drink from another can. Sam replies that this was all a tactical plan, since in this situation there was no time for fair duels. Stan says that if the other competitors are just as weak, it won't be hard to win. Sam says the safe zone will move soon and it will be away from their current location. Astrid says that they have already killed so many people, which means they can fight for a very long time. Sam replies that firstly, this game is different from other games in this genre, since the battles here can be very grueling. And if they are far from the safe zone, it will be difficult for them to restore their health. He also says that players who are outside the safe zone will face something worse than gas, and if they remain outside this zone, they will certainly be in trouble. Astrid looks at the main character in surprise and asks him what could be worse than gas. Sam turns his head towards Astrid and tells her that in this round they will be threatened by radiation. Stan asks Sam what the difference is between radiation and poisonous gas. Sam explains that radiation can dramatically reduce the health of players, and only special medications can restore it. But this is not all the properties of radiation. Astrid says that in this case, they shouldn't stay here and get out of here. The girl is about to leave, but Sam grabs her hand and asks her to take her time. Astrid turns to the main character and asks him what he needs. Sam calls up the game map and says that although they know what traps there are, no one can guarantee that other players are not waiting for them right near the exit. Astrid says that in any case, they shouldn't just sit here and wait to die. Sam answers her, telling her not to worry as he has a plan for this case. Meanwhile, the sun sets and a starry night falls on the game map. Alexis's assistant tells his boss that the place will soon be outside the safe zone, asking him if he's sure they're still there. Alexis replies that the fox is still inside, adding that they cannot leave as the reward should belong to them. Turning around, he says that the safe zone is narrowing, which means they don't have to wait long. Alexis's henchmen begin to take damage from the danger zone, to which he tells them not to worry as they have the necessary medical supplies. One of Alexis's teammates notices that the medications aren't working and his health points continue to drop. Alexis looks at the pills, saying that as he thought, this is not the usual effect of poisoning, but something much more serious. One of the henchmen says that he joined their team not in order to die, but in order to win. He adds that he is heading to the safe zone, and they can stay here until they die. Alexis tells his colleague that he is free to choose whether to stay or leave. The player moves away from Alexis towards the safe zone, but a few seconds later, a bullet pierces his head. Alexis says that everyone who is not on his team is considered his enemy, adding that the killed player should not be offended by this. Alexis's assistant mentally says that his boss is too cruel and cold-blooded. Alexis turns to her allies and says that anyone who wants the same fate can leave at any time. The allies pledge their allegiance to Alexis, saying that they will always remain by his side. Suddenly, the hunter's attention is attracted by the silhouettes of people emerging from the bunker. An observer with a sniper rifle suddenly recoils from his scope when he sees something frightening. A whole crowd of zombies emerge from the bunker, created by radiation from the corpses of defeated players. The zombies begin to walk towards Alexis's hunters, climbing up the hill. One of the hunters says that he used to play in a similar mode, but now such a course of events should not happen. Alexis guesses that radiation is to blame for the appearance of the dead. Seeing an overwhelming advantage in the ranks of the dead, Alexis's minions say they need to retreat to a more advantageous position. Alexis replies that their goal is still here, and if they retreat, they will never be able to win, and all their efforts will go down the drain. With these words, he points the revolver towards the enemy and with a well-aimed shot to the head kills the zombie rushing to the top of the hill. He tells his allies not to be such cowards, since they have enough weapons to hold out here a little longer. The allies are briefly charged with morale and open fire on the dead, but this is not enough. One of the hunters says that the zombies have too many health points and they won't be able to destroy them all. He loses sight of the dead man, who sneaks up on him and kills him by eating his brains. The hunter falls to the ground, but after a few seconds he rises as another warrior in the army of the dead. Another hunter says that the more they fight, the more dead people come running to take shots. Alexis's assistant says that all the dead become zombies, adding that if this continues, the situation will become catastrophic. Alexis tells him that their target is now right in front of them, adding that they cannot retreat now. Hearing the sounds of gunfire, the living dead continue to run out of the bunker in crowds. Among the horde of the living dead, 3 familiar silhouettes suddenly appear. They turn out to be our heroes, who pretended to be zombies in order to quietly escape from being chased by other players. Hunter Alexis is not noticed by Sam and his friends, distracted by shooting carrion. Suddenly, behind the hunters, the sound of the exhaust pipe of a running car is heard. Turning to this sound, one of the hunters sees a very strange picture in front of him. He notices Sam and his squad and shouts that somehow the zombies have learned to drive. Alexis turns towards the car, saying that this is physically impossible. However, Sam suddenly pulls off his mask, surprising the hunters and Alexis himself. After reciting a passage from a Chinese poem, he says with a smile on his face that they will meet again. Alexis screams in rage that Sam and his squad fooled them and aims his revolver at them. However, Sam puts the gas pedal to the floor and drives away at full speed. Alexis orders his allies not to hesitate and to immediately follow the fugitives. One of his henchmen asks to save him from a zombie, who has leaned on him with his whole body and is not allowing him to escape. Alexis only looks at his comrade with contempt and kills him with a shot to the head. Calling the deceased a burden, he arrogantly goes to the car to set off in pursuit of Sam himself. Meanwhile, Sam and his friends are cutting through the dust on a country road at night. Astrid says that Sam's plan now makes her incredibly stinky, adding that she doesn't understand why everything in this game is so realistic. Sam replies that they had no other choice, since otherwise they themselves would become targets for zombies. Stan notices the chase and says that these hunters don't seem to want to give up. Alexis, surrounded by the few remaining assistants, pursues Sam at full speed in hopes of getting his reward. Sam says that now we will show them the power of our first-class driving skills and grips the steering wheel tighter. Alexis's assistant tells his boss that the car Sam stole is one of the best, so they won't be able to catch up with them. Alexis replies that there is a cliff ahead of them, and if they do not learn to fly, they will fall straight into its trap. Sam continues to flee from pursuit and notices that the road is about to end. The main character desperately goes through the options in his head, realizing that the window of opportunity is rapidly shrinking. Stan tells the main character that if this continues, they will soon die, and Astrid covers her face with her hands in fear, saying that she is very scared to look at what will happen now. Sam, however, does not lose confidence and asks his comrades to hold on tight to something. At the last moment, he goes into a controlled skid, turning the car before the cliff. The hunters following Sam on motorcycles do not have time to slow down, not expecting such an action from Sam. Failing to react in time, they all fall into the abyss, dropping out of the competition. Sam happily says that this is what they need and presses the gas pedal again, fleeing from his pursuers. Alexis loses his composure, ordering them to continue following him and adding that they won't miss him anyway. The assistant tells him that they have already lost a lot of people, adding that even if they receive this reward, the ends will not justify the means. Alexis puts a gun to the assistant's head and asks him how he dares to contradict him, adding that he no longer cares about the reward and is only interested in Sam's death. Another hunter, Alexis, shouts to the allies that they heard the boss, adding that they must kill Sam at any cost. Stan says that apparently the hunters no longer care about the reward. They will start shooting at them with everything they have, to which Sam replies that this can help them, since Alexis cannot think straight. Alexis loads her rifle and says that they are at the right shooting range. He tells Sam that he is about to see the power of real professional players. Taking proper aim, Alexis fires a shot towards Sam's car. The bullet hits the car's tire, and the main character only miraculously retains control in his hands. He notes that the hunters decided to go on a decisive offensive. The hunters notice that the car with the main character stops and assume that they managed to shoot out a tire. They start racing towards the stopped car, overcome by a thirst for easy money. Suddenly, two of them receive several bullet wounds and immediately fall off their motorcycles. Their comrade, who treacherously shot them in the back, tells them to hold their horses. He adds that when he receives the award, he will no longer have to be under anyone's control. Having approached the car closer, he notices that there is no one in it, and only at the last moment notices the glare of the optical sight. Astrid wastes no time getting into a good shooting position, stabilizing her rifle with the help of the car doors. She fires a quick shot, killing the off-guard hunter, causing him to fall off his motorcycle. The motorcycle, left without a driver, continues to approach Sam at high speed, who calmly stands in its path. A satisfied smile appears on his face, and he says that it's time to show who the real professional is here. With these words, he sticks his spear into the ground and jumps into the air in front of a moving motorcycle. Landing on the vehicle with ease, he grabs the steering wheel and spins 180 degrees. Having completed the maneuver, he heads towards Alexis's hunters, shouting to them to accept his challenge. The hunters shout back at him that he thinks too much of himself and open fire to kill with small-caliber weapons. Sam skillfully controls the motorcycle, expertly dodging bullets that whistle near his head. Hunters waste their clips by complaining about the inconvenience of reloading with one hand. Having approached the opponents at a sufficient distance, Sam decides to carry out a complex maneuver in order to destroy several opponents with one blow. With one swing, he throws two opponents off their bikes, reducing their health points to 0. For each defeated enemy, the main character is awarded 100 points, since he still wields melee weapons. Another group of hunters gets closer and draws their weapons to open fire. However, Sam manages to get close enough to them so that they are within the range of his spear. Having burst into the crowd of opponents, he continues to crush them, swinging his spear. Alexis gets out of the car and says that it looks like he's playing Sam's game, adding that this location could also be part of his plan. Alexis's assistant tells him that the border of the safe zone will soon reach here. Alexis looks at the pills he has stored and says that if it really is radiation, then the drugs should help him. The assistant asks Alexis if he will share it with him since these pills are so effective. Alexis only arrogantly replies to the assistant that he is an unnecessary pawn and can only count on help if he kills Sam. Meanwhile, one of the hunters driving a car asks his driver to drive more carefully so that it would be more convenient for him to shoot. However, having received no answer, he decides to turn around to understand what is happening. He sees that someone has killed his driver and their car is racing at random. The shooter tries to take control but does not have time and crashes into a tree, exploding along with the car. The driver's killer turns out to be Astrid, who continues to fire accurately at approaching enemies. Taking a break to reload her rifle, she says she can't give all the points to Sam. Stan, sitting next to Astrid, says that Sam was able to turn even a simple shooter into a real action game. He says that unfortunately his weapon has a very low range, and because of this, he cannot kill other players as effectively. Sam, meanwhile, continues to smash enemies with his spear, receiving double points for each kill. Having made his way through a whole crowd of hunters, he moves on, deciding that it's time to take on Alexis himself. Alexis stands next to the car and finds Sam running full speed towards him. They both see each other, and at the same time say that it's time to end this. Alexis reloads her assault rifle and stands at the ready, taking good aim. He unloads the clip towards the main character, saying that he cannot lose to such a weakling as Sam. Sam dodges Alexis's shots, keeping his head lower. However, one bullet still hits him directly in the shoulder, taking away about 20% of his health points. However, he manages to close the distance and lowers his spear again. Sam thrusts his spear into the ground, creating a smoke screen and thereby slowing down his speed before jumping. Grabbing it with both hands, he jumps off the motorcycle, trying to soften his fall. The motorcycle rushes at full speed towards the car standing next to Alexis. Alexis manages to jump to the side in time, performing a somersault. A motorcycle crashes into a car and explodes, taking the car with it, illuminating the location with a bright flash. Alexis gets to her feet and asks what these stupid tricks are. He raises his rifle but is immediately hit by an energy arrow from Sam's composite bow. The arrow hits Alexis's hand, causing his rifle to roll several meters to the side. Alexis looks at the huge hole left by Sam's shot and curses angrily. Looking up, he sees Sam standing in front of him, holding him at gunpoint. Taking aim, he says that he seems to have missed someone, turning his gaze to Alexis's assistant. The rifle that Alexis owned not so long ago ends up at the feet of that same assistant. The assistant looks at the rifle with a gloomy look, immersed in thoughts about what is happening. Alexis yells at his assistant, calling him by his name Todd for the first time, and demands that he hand over the weapon to him as quickly as possible. Todd reluctantly reaches for his assault rifle, looking at Alexis with contempt. Meanwhile, Astrid and Stan arrive at the scene, cheerfully reporting that they are all right. Sam decides it's time to end this tedious chase and draws his bow again. Alexis turns to his assistant in a rage and angrily asks him what the hell is taking him so long. Todd looks at Alexis with contempt and yells at him, telling him to shut up. Alexis looks at Todd in shock, asking him how dare he talk to him like that. However, instead of answering, Todd pulls the trigger, releasing the entire clip into Alexis's body. The damage proves fatal to Alexis, and he falls helplessly to the ground. Lying on the ground, he barely points at Todd, calling him a pathetic traitor. Astrid gets off the motorcycle and asks the others why Todd doesn't run away. Sam turns his gun on Todd and takes aim. However, Todd decides not to resist and hastily throws the rifle to the ground. He raises his hands up and says he surrenders, asking Sam and his comrades to take him into their squad. Sam strings his bow and asks Todd why he suddenly wanted to join them. He adds that one of his allies is a great shot and the other is extremely strong and asks Todd what he can offer them. Todd calmly replies that he is a very smart person because he always knows who to join. He glances at Alexis's body and says that he immediately knows who is strong and who is weak. Sam says that these are very good qualities, and he takes him to his team. Stan approaches Sam and asks him if he really wants to take Todd into his squad, expressing doubts about his loyalty. Sam tells Stan not to worry, as he knows exactly what he's doing. Remembering full well that it was Todd who killed him in his previous life, he tells him that if he betrays him, his death will be slow and painful. Morning comes, and the system informs everyone that there are only 284 players left alive on this server. Sam and his squad greet this morning by cooking fried rodents over a fire in order to somehow replenish their health points. Sam brings the fried loot closer and says that he hasn't eaten anything in a while, noting that the breakfast smells great. Stan bites into his portion and says that he can't call it bad, but the food here still has a strange aftertaste. Astrid says they can eat to their heart's content since they won't gain weight in the real world. Sam listens to the conversations of his companions and mentally tells himself that they are thinking about the wrong things. Todd politely asks Sam if he can share his portion of food with him. Sam replies that unfortunately they only caught 3 rabbits, adding that he will look for something for him. Todd happily thanks Sam, smiling sincerely at him. The main character hands a can of supplies to Todd, saying that this is all they have left. Todd accepts the can with sadness in his eyes and asks him if they have anything other than canned food. Sam replies that it is a very nutritious and long-lasting food, adding that he will probably like it. Todd, realizing that he doesn't have much options left, reluctantly opens the tin can. Suspecting nothing, he dumps the entire contents of the canned food into his mouth. Suddenly, the contents of the jar begin to burn Todd's tongue and throat incredibly badly. Sam gloatingly concludes that unfortunately he took the wrong can of canned food. By pure chance, he handed him a jar of canned chili. Stan asks Sam why he is being so cruel, but Astrid, on the contrary, seems to find it somehow funny. Todd mentally curses Sam for such rude behavior and does not understand what he did to deserve such treatment. Sam approaches Todd and asks him if anything is bothering him at the moment. Todd quickly changes his face and calmly asks the protagonist what he means. Sam says Todd's assault rifle is pretty well modified and asks him to borrow his weapon. Todd says that in this case he no longer has any weapons. Sam menacingly asks Todd if he wants to end up like his friends. Todd calmly replies that he doesn't want any trouble and removes his rifle from his belt. Todd removes his rifle completely and pauses briefly, keeping it pointed at Sam. Astrid, suspecting something was wrong, reaches for her sniper rifle to protect Sam. However, Stan stops her by placing his hand on the sniper rifle. He tells Astrid not to worry, adding that Sam is just testing Todd's loyalty. Todd, smiling, calmly gives Sam his rifle, saying that since Sam is stronger than him, it will be useful for him to own this rifle. Sam thanks Todd and raises his rifle, pointing it towards Todd's head. Todd looks at Sam in shock, trying to raise his hand to instinctively cover his face. Sam, without another word, fires a shot at Todd's head level. Turning around, Todd realizes that Sam shot the man who crept up on them from behind. Coming closer, Astrid realizes that this is not a player, but a zombie that somehow got here. Astrid is surprised that the zombies have reached their location and looks around. Sam grabs his spear and says things are starting to get serious. Approaching the dead zombie, he notices several dozen more living dead wandering nearby. The system notifies everyone that there are 243 players left alive, and our heroes rush to the car, attracting the attention of zombies. Looking around, Sam tries to understand what is happening and why the zombies behave the way they do. Todd asks everyone to hurry up, adding that the dead are already breathing down their necks. Several zombies manage to catch up with the car, grabbing the trunk of the car with their hands. Stan decides there is no time to hesitate and grabs his machete, screaming at the dead to get away from them. Standing on the trunk, he swings a machete, throwing opponents away from the car. Sam asks everyone to get ready and presses the gas pedal, causing their car to suddenly take off. Having broken through the crowd of the living dead, Sam taxis out of the forest, deciding to move towards the next safe zone. A hot desert appears before the heroes, and they flee at full speed from the enemies pursuing them along the hot sand. Looking back, Astrid concludes that they seem to have managed to break away from the pursuit. However, Sam does not share her optimism and says that the real danger is yet to come. Looking ahead, the heroes only sincerely curse, not understanding why they are lucky enough to have such adventures. The system notifies everyone that due to special circumstances, an additional quest called Billion Zombies has been activated, which generates large groups of zombies throughout the map, and players need to survive for 24 hours. Sam thinks to himself that such surprises are extremely unusual for this game. Sam says that in the original game, zombies could only appear outside the safe zone, but now they are also inside it. Suddenly it dawns on Sam that this could all be the butterfly effect. Sam remembers that the flutter of a butterfly in the rainforests of South America can have incredible consequences. According to the theory, this wave could lead to a tornado in Kansas 2 weeks later. From Sam's point of view, since his current actions are different from the past, this led to the system generating a new quest. Astrid asks Sam what this all means and what they should all do about it. Sam replies that in a few kilometers they will reach a fortress in which they can fortify themselves. Stan says that this is all easier said than done, adding that there is a crowd of hungry zombies ahead and asking how they are going to get around them. Sam asks Stan why he decided that they would go around this crowd. He accelerates so that they will drive straight through the crowd of walking dead. Astrid fearfully asks Sam what the hell he's doing and clutches her rifle tighter. One of the walking zombies turns around at the sound of an approaching car and looks ahead frantically. Sam crashes into the dead man at full speed, fighting his way to safety. Stan says that if this continues, they won't be able to hold on for long, after which he stands up in the car, trying to throw the dead away. Astrid tries to shoot down the climbing dead with the butt, saying that in such a situation a sniper is a burden, not an advantage. Meanwhile, one dead man who grabbed onto the car manages to grab her by the t-shirt. Sam turns back and tells his comrades to shoot with everything they can. However, the dead grab Astrid, trying to drag her out of the car. A split second later, a bullet flies into the head of the dead man who grabbed Astrid, and he lets go of his prey. Astrid's savior turns out to be Sam, who quickly pulls out his gun and then asks her if she's okay. Astrid replies that she is fine, to which Sam says that the dead have become completely impudent. He presses the gas pedal again, saying that it's time to teach them a lesson, and again rushes towards a safe point. Seeing another crowd of dead people in front of him, Sam decides to ram him again. Meanwhile, in the center of the safe zone in a large castle, there is a group of survivors who were able to gain a foothold there. Observing huge crowds of zombies, the commandant of the fortress says that holding out for a whole day is unrealistic. Suddenly, the attention of the commandant named Shen is attracted by a vehicle approaching them. Taking a closer look, he notices that the car, damaged from battles with the living dead, stalled a few tens of meters from their castle. Tired Sam tells his companions that they have finally arrived. He adds that this location will be the final safe zone for this round. The fortress defenders shout at Sam and his squad to stay back and put their hands up. Sam tells them that if they have guns, they should save them for the zombies. Shen asks the main character what exactly he means. Sam points to a crowd of zombies hanging around behind them and says that if he doesn't let them in, the zombies will kill both Sam and everyone in this fortress. Shen asks the protagonist why on earth he should trust his words. A split second later, Shen's cap is pierced by a well-aimed shot from a sniper rifle. Astrid gives him a smug look, implying that Shen doesn't have much of a choice in this situation. Sam says he has one very good reason why Shen should trust him. He says that he and his squad are incredibly strong players who are superior to everyone on this server. Shen takes off his cap and looks at the neat bullet hole left by Astrid's rifle. With a wave of his hand, he turns to his companions and orders them to open the gate for Sam. Sam and his squad look through all the weapons and ammunition they managed to get during their trip. Shen and his companions look at the collection in fascination, saying that they are very impressed. Sam tells everyone that he suggests sharing all the weapons among themselves to increase their chances of survival. Shen is surprised by Sam's generosity and says that he is very generous. Todd says he agrees with Shen and asks Sam if it would be better to save the weapon. Sam replies that there is no point in doing this, since they are all in the same boat, and if they fail, they will all go down. He hands Shen a machine gun, saying that the jokes are over, adding that the rules of the game have changed, and if they do not unite, they will die. Shen freezes for a second at Sam's heartfelt speech, unable to find the words to respond. Having come to his senses, he loudly says that he agrees with the main character and accepts the machine gun from his hands. Astrid and Stan stand at the makeshift distribution point and begin distributing equipment and ammunition to everyone who wants it. After some time, Shen reports that all his guys are equipped and ready for battle. Sam praises Shen and asks everyone to say what their ultimate goal is. The defenders of the fortress unanimously shout that their only goal is victory. After some time, Sam climbs the tower and secretly shoots the dead man with his bow. Sam notes that the reward for killing a zombie is negligible, amounting to only 10 points. Meanwhile, Todd comes up to him and asks him if he wanted to see him, calling Sam the boss. Sam tells Todd to stop calling him that because he's no one's boss. Todd says Sam's plans, however, force him to follow him. He adds that Sam is nevertheless very cruel, since he recruits so many people into his team in order to mercilessly kill them at the end of the game in order to win. Sam says Todd is wrong because all he wants to do is fight alongside them and survive until the very end. Todd says that this must all be some kind of joke, since there are so many of these zombies that it is not possible to survive to the end. Sam replies that KOG doesn't give players tasks they can't complete so they can win, adding that that's why he has an important mission for Todd. Todd asks Sam what is required of him, to which he replies that he is required to find out information about the zombies so that he can build a defense plan. He adds that Shen has already sent 3 people from his team, so they should also send someone as a sign of trust. Todd asks Sam why he should go because Astrid and Stan are much stronger than him. Sam says that Stan loses control of himself as soon as he starts fighting with someone. He also adds that Astrid is an excellent shooter, but in close combat she will have a very difficult time without support. Todd, from Sam's point of view, is very agile and masters all types of weapons, which means he is ideal for this job. He asks Todd if he wants Sam to go instead. Sam says that as a reward, "I'll let him sit on the sidelines while they defend the castle," adding that this way he can get the highest survival rate. Todd says that he is satisfied with these conditions, expressing the hope that Sam will not take back his words. With these words, he leaves, thinking about the plan for his task. Sam tells Todd to be careful and make sure he comes back safe and sound. Todd takes one of the motorcycles of the fortress defenders as transport and leaves for reconnaissance. Stan watches Todd leave and asks Sam why he sent the boy to certain death. Sam says that he and Stan have been working together for a very long time, so he shouldn't question his decisions. Sam reflects that Todd probably has his own plans for victory, which means leaving him in the castle would be the worst decision. Meanwhile, Todd takes an observation position on a tree, and in a rage says that he will definitely kill Sam someday. He tells himself that the zombies will never think to look for him in the tree, so he can just sit here, after which he can calmly return back to Sam. A sudden movement of leaves interrupts Todd's thoughts and makes him wary. Todd decides to get closer to the source of the noise, trying to figure out who is making it. The source of the sound turns out to be a zombie, which growls menacingly at Todd as he approaches. Todd drops his rifle in fear and falls to the ground, hitting his whole body painfully. Trying to get up, he is surprised at how an ordinary zombie could climb a tree. Looking up, he notices that all his former comrades, turned into the living dead, are standing in front of him. One of the dead men steps on his rifle and in an otherworldly voice says that he did not expect to meet Todd again. Todd looks up and is speechless for a while in shock. In front of him is Alexis, who turned into a dead man but retained his self-awareness. After some time, Sam fills out the necessary reports for the future defense of the fortress, sitting in one of the offices. Steen says that he has finished counting the players in the fortress, adding that there are a total of 72 people in it, taking into account the new ones they accepted. Sam tells Stan that 72 people will be more than enough for his plan. Suddenly, there is a loud knock on the office door, and a male voice reports that there are 73 people in the fortress, not 72. Stan and Sam are distracted by the sound, trying to figure out who said it. Todd enters the office and reports that he has successfully completed his mission. Stan pats Todd's shoulder, praising him for his excellent job and expressing his joy that he was unharmed. Todd says he gained incredibly valuable experience fighting hordes of zombies. Sam also thanks Todd and tells him that he did a great job. Todd approaches the main character and asks him if his promise is still valid. Sam says that Todd can tell him everything he learned, after which he can calmly go and rest. He adds that he can safely leave the defense of the castle to them since they are well prepared for this. Astrid, meanwhile, is busy shooting the dead from a distance and wonders if the zombies are even going to attack them. Shen approaches her and applauds her accuracy, saying that she is very good at her job. He admits to Astrid that he is almost a devoted fan of hers. Astrid asks him why he still carries around his cap, which was shot through and through. Shen says that because Astrid was the one who shot her, he will keep this cap until the end of the match. Sam comes out to them, calling out to Astrid, saying that he is looking for her everywhere. Shen says that he will not interfere with their conversation and leaves to check the equipment. Astrid asks Sam if Shen whispered anything to him while he was passing by. Sam answers the question with a question, asking Astrid if Shen is flirting with her. Astrid is surprised by this and says that this is something on the verge of impossible. Sam replies that Astrid is quite beautiful and also has a wonderful body and asks her if she is popular with men. Astrid says that she is not strong in love affairs, clarifying that if she wants to find herself a boyfriend, then only one who is excellent at playing games. Sam says that they will finish this conversation later since now he wants to discuss a more serious topic with her. Astrid looks questioningly at Sam and asks him what exactly he wants to discuss. After some time, night falls again, and the system notifies everyone that only 74 players are left alive, and the remaining time until the end of the event is 6 hours. Stan examines the horde through binoculars and asks Sam if he is sure that the zombies will attack them. According to Stan, only a small group of living dead are hanging out in front of them. Sam answers him, saying that if their information is correct, then the horde will attack very soon. Stan replies that there is nothing to indicate this yet, but he stops mid-sentence and takes a closer look. A second later, he screams, looking in the direction of the zombie in surprise. He notices a huge number of dead people arriving on the horizon in huge numbers. The defenders of the fortress watch in horror at the approaching crowd of zombies, not believing that they can defeat them all. Sam approaches the edge of the castle tower and admonishes his comrades, saying that he cannot guarantee that they will all survive, nor that they will be able to kill all the dead. However, he is quick to add that he can guarantee that he will never betray his allies and will fight alongside them on the front lines. The defenders of the fortress are inspired by Sam's speech and listen to him in fascination. Sam adds that in truth, he has never been able to give fiery speeches, so he will only say one thing. With these words, he raises his fist in the air and shouts that they will definitely win. The crowd picks up his enthusiasm and begins chanting these words as well. Meanwhile, a horde of the Walking Dead arrives at the castle, beginning a siege. First of all, the zombies step on a mine, causing a powerful explosion that scatters dozens of dead people to the sides. The defenders of the fortress are surprised by this turn of events and look down at what is happening. Sam commands the defenders so that they do not relax and remember that victory is at stake. The defenders open fire on the crowd of the dead, who meanwhile activate several more mines as they approach. Stan shoots the dead with a heavy machine gun, joyfully shouting that he must kill them all. The dead fall one after another under bullets, but new ones immediately arrive in their place. Stan says there are too many dead people and asks Sam how he plans to deal with them. Sam strings his bow and asks Stan not to worry since he's just warming up. Pulling the bowstring, Sam asks the dead if they are ready to die and shoots an arrow. The arrow quickly cuts through the air and lands next to an unknown liquid. Stan looks down and desperately says that Sam's actions had about zero effect. Sam asks Stan not to be nervous and snaps his fingers, smiling contentedly. At the same moment, the liquid, which turns out to be kerosene, ignites. The front ranks of the horde are instantly engulfed in raging flames, falling to the ground. Stan turns to Sam and says that this tactic subtly reminds him of something. Sam says that this is a very convenient tactic, as it can destroy an entire crowd with one shot. The dead stop in front of the fiery barrier and do not dare cross it. However, after a few seconds, raindrops begin to fall on Sam's head, and he says that this is all some kind of stupid joke. The pouring rain extinguishes the fire barrier, and all the defenders curse this game and its mechanics. Sam looks up at the storm clouds and says he's starting to think someone is doing this on purpose. The horde begins to pile on top of each other, trying to overcome the castle wall, and the defenders begin to get nervous again. The defenders drop a special mixture on the climbing dead, which throws them down. However, the dead do not give up and stubbornly continue to climb the steep walls. One of the dead invaders makes it over the wall and begins to climb onto the final ledge. However, he is interrupted by Stan, who sends the dead man down with one blow of his machete. Sam shouts to his allies not to give up, adding that victory will be theirs. With these words, one of the allies approaches him and says that victory will truly belong to them, and puts a pistol to the back of his head. Todd again turns out to be the traitor, who adds that, unfortunately, Sam will not see this victory. There are only 3.5 hours left until the end of the event, but the number of live players drops to 59. Sam asks Todd why he wanted to kill him, sincerely not understanding his motivation. Todd says he wanted to ask Sam the same question more than once before, adding that Sam got in his way every time he was about to come up with the right solution. Sam says all Todd had to do was hide and wait, but even there, he disappointed him. Todd tells the main character that he made a deal with zombies who guarantee his safety if he kills Sam. Sam says Todd has said enough, so his time is up. After these words, a shot is heard, and Todd receives a bullet near his heart, which is why he does not have time to shoot and falls to the ground. Astrid, who has been watching what is happening all this time from a nearby tower of the castle, reports that the task has been completed and examines Todd from afar. Todd realizes that Sam suspected him of betrayal all along, which is why he prepared so thoroughly. The main character tells Todd that he put a bug on him and noticed that he stood in one place for too long, adding that after that anyone would begin to suspect something was wrong. Todd, barely holding back the pain from the wound he received, says that Sam shouldn't rejoice too early, since he still won't be able to win this fight since he didn't take into account one important factor. Sam turns to Todd and asks him what he means by those words. Suddenly, a familiar voice is heard behind him, saying that Todd meant him. Turning around, Sam notices Alexis, who asks Sam if he expected to see him, adding that they have finally met again. Alexis explains that it was actually the pills he took while chasing Sam that actually allowed him to control the living dead. He does not have time to finish his speech, as Astrid decides not to drag on and shoots him in the head with a large caliber sniper rifle. Astrid asks Alexis if the pills helped him deliver shorter speeches. Alexis replies that he has now gained full immortality, and Astrid sees that Alexis's health points have not changed at all despite being hit in the head. Astrid is surprised and asks how this is possible, suggesting that Alexis started using cheats. Sam takes out his spear and tells Astrid to go help others, leaving Alexis to him, to which he just laughs arrogantly. Alexis says that all their attempts are in vain, since zombies will follow him wherever he goes, adding that this fortress will very soon be filled with the living dead. Sam says that then he will finish him off first and rushes at him with his spear. He easily pierces Alexis's body, but he only laughs in the protagonist's face, calling him a pathetic idiot, and adds that physical attacks do not harm him. After these words, he grabs the protagonist by the throat and easily lifts him into the air to throw him. Deciding to finish Sam off as quickly as possible, Alexis hits him against the stonework with all her might, breaking the side of the watchtower. Alexis gloatingly asks Sam what it's like to lose when he almost won. Sam replies that there is no feeling worse than this, because he has already been through such torment once. With these words, he knocks Alexis's hand from his neck and grabs his spear. Grabbing the shaft of his spear, Sam instantly ignites it just by touching it. He says that he never wants to feel something like that again, after which he plunges the burning part of the spear deeper into Alexis's body. The flames begin to devour Alexis's body, and he shouts that this is impossible, not understanding where Sam got such abilities. Sam flashes back to the moment when he will receive his title for consecutive fire kills. He recalls that, among other things, he then received another completely random title. As a reward, he received a card that could teach him a specific skill when used. That card turned out to be an arsonist card, which can teach the wearer how to manipulate the element of fire. Sam says that fortunately, he lubricated the spear with flammable materials, adding that he had no idea that such skills would be useful to him. Alexis shouts that this is impossible, adding that he was supposed to be completely immortal. However, the flames quickly consume him, and Sam receives 500 points for destroying the leader of the army of the living dead. Sam sarcastically remarks that this is another victim who fell before the great barbecue master. However, the main character decides not to rejoice ahead of schedule and turns to his defenders. Seeing that things are getting worse and worse, he realizes that the real battle is yet to come. The system notifies everyone that players have 2 hours and 19 minutes left to survive, adding that only 47 players remain alive. Hordes of the dead, in tireless attempts to get to the tower, form giant mountains of corpses, along which other zombies climb to the goal. Stan begins to be overwhelmed by numbers, and he switches to a machete, scattering opponents in different directions. Only 39 players remain alive, and Astrid says that there are too many dead people. Another 5 players die, and Shen holds his position with his last strength, shouting in despair that the zombies are coming in an endless stream. Sam continues to shoot opponents one after another and tries to understand why nothing has changed after the murder of the leader of the dead, expressing hope that the game did not throw them an event in which it is fundamentally impossible to win. Todd, sitting nearby, tells the main character that they are alike because in the end they will both lose this round. Todd says that everyone who followed Sam is a complete idiot, since he is leading everyone to hell. Sam slowly repeats Todd's words, and suddenly they give him a great idea. Turning around, he tells Todd that he is right, adding that he is going to take advantage of this. Todd asks the protagonist in surprise what he is up to, coughing from his injuries. Sam says that the time has come to survive for real and lowers his weapon, deciding to take the most desperate step. Meanwhile, Stan begins to lose ground and the zombies deal him a powerful blow, knocking him down. Looking up, he sees a dead man in front of him who is swinging a sharp axe at him. However, a split second before Stan is hit, the zombies suddenly freeze and look around at strange sounds and screams. Stan gets up and says that he recognizes this strange voice, and also turns towards the noise. Stan grabs the fresh motorcycle that the dead Alexis is tied to and jumps off the tower. Astrid, observing this desperate act, says that Sam is becoming too reckless. Sam turns to face the horde of walking dead and yells at them to follow right behind him, additionally honking at them from his motorcycle. Hearing screams and sensing the presence of their leader, the dead turn around, looking at Sam. A second later, they abandon all their attempts to siege the castle and head towards the main character. The system notifies players that they need to survive for 1 more hour, and Sam says that his chances are about 1 in a million, but he will still take advantage of this opportunity. Stan gets up with difficulty and asks the others not to tell him that Sam is thinking about sacrificing himself so that they can win. Astrid puts her hand on his shoulder and lifts him up, saying that such actions would clearly not be Sam's style. They both agree that Sam is clearly the type of guy who will survive the most impossible situations. Meanwhile, the crowd of dead continues to follow Sam, activating mines that they had previously avoided. Sam says that everything is going according to his plan, adding that if he didn't mess anything up, then the fun begins now. Soon after these words, heavy bombs begin to fall on the crowd of living dead, causing powerful explosions. Astrid opens the map and sees that the area where Sam led the dead has been selected as a location for carpet bombing. She is surprised at Sam's insight and says that she would not be surprised if he also predicted her appearance. After an hour of intense bombing, all that remains of the zombie horde is a huge field of mutilated bodies lying on the ground. The system reports that only 26 players are left alive, adding that there are 17 minutes left until the end of the event. Astrid stands on top of the siege wall and scans the horizon, worried that Sam still hasn't returned. Shen tells her that according to his rough calculations, all 26 survivors are in their fortress, concluding from this that Sam most likely did not survive. Astrid says that this is impossible, adding that Sam is not the kind of person who gives up so easily. A minute later, a small black dot appears on the horizon, rapidly approaching the castle. Astrid realizes that this point is Sam, returning to the castle on a motorcycle, and says that he never ceases to amaze her. Climbing up the castle wall, Sam asks the others if they were expecting him to return, adding that he is safe and sound. Shen and Stan surround him, saying he's acting like a fucking genius, adding that it was the coolest thing they've ever seen. Astrid, however, grabs him by the collar and pulls him aside, asking him what the hell he's doing. She questions him about how he could do something so dangerous, adding that he doesn't rely on his teammates at all. Sam smiles and says he gives his word that he won't act so recklessly again. The system notifies all players that they have won the Billions mission, adding that all surviving players receive 500 points, and all survivors become eligible for further scoring. Sam smiles at the notification, saying that they have finally completed the first round of the tournament. Astrid looks closely at Sam and asks him if he forgot something important. Meanwhile, Todd is trying with all his might to crawl to safety in the besieged castle. Todd tells himself that he just needs to wait a little and victory is in his pocket. Suddenly, he hears the sound of approaching footsteps and a voice that asks him where he is going. Looking up, he sees Sam, who asks him if he's going to celebrate the victory with all the other surviving players. Todd starts frantically ingratiating himself with Sam, telling him that he is a great man with a kind heart, so he shouldn't worry about such a humble person like Todd. He kneels in front of Sam and says that he repents of his sins, asking him for mercy and adding that he will help him in the next rounds until he dies. Sam replies that Todd only says this until it suits him. However, after a second, he smiles and says that he can even forgive him for all his actions. Todd sits up happily and asks Sam if he will truly forgive Todd. A second later, a bullet flies into Todd's head and he falls dead on the stone floor. Sam, walking away from the cooling corpse, tells him that he lied to him, adding that he will never be able to forgive the betrayal. After some time in the real world, a TV show discusses the topic that a player named Sam is too strong. The presenters participating in the discussion are divided on whether Sam is just an experienced player or an ordinary cheater. Visitors to the cafe where this program is shown are also suspicious of Sam's successes, believing that he is somehow cheating. Stan, Astrid, and Sam, sitting in this cafe, laugh at what is happening, and Astrid tells the main character that he already has fans. Sam says that many people on the internet accuse him of using cheats, adding that his identity would have been distorted long ago if not for their information. Astrid says that she herself suspected Sam of using cheats, since he knew the exact time and location of safe places and bombing zones. They check the scoreboard and find that Sam and Astrid are in the first 2 places respectively among all the players in the tournament. Stan asks Sam how he knows so much about the first round, adding that Sam is definitely hiding something. Sam tells him that, unfortunately, he won't be able to tell them anything, but he hopes that they can continue to fight together as teammates. Astrid replies that in the next round they may not be on the same server, which means they will not be able to group. Sam agrees with her, saying that even if the first round cleared 99% of the players, the remaining ones still hit. He also adds that the closer they get to the finals, the smaller the number of players will be, which means more chances to get on the same server. Astrid says that unfortunately not everyone is as strong a player as Sam, adding that she is not confident that she will be able to make it through the next round. Stan looks at Astrid with concern and asks her what she means by these words. Sam replies that he suggested they meet not only to sit in a friendly atmosphere and drink coffee. He says that usually cheats are the manipulation of game data that strengthens the player, but in the conditions of KOG, the use of cheats is almost impossible. He adds that what he is about to offer them is a deception that does not meet the criteria of cheating. Astrid and Stan are surprised by Sam's proposal and ask him what he means. Sam smiles and says that he is offering them the most important thing he can, which is information. He clarifies that the phone he brought them contains detailed information about the next round, which is about to begin. After some time, Sam comes to his home, where his computer setup with a virtual reality helmet is already waiting for him. Putting on his helmet, he turns on the full immersion mode, saying that great fun awaits him ahead. Once in the virtual arena, Sam says that he knew that the order of the games would remain the same as he remembered. The system says that the second round is dedicated to a game called the Endless Tower, in which the player, using magic cards and winning numerous fights, must reach the top and move on to the next stage. Players are surprised by such strange rules and try to understand what kind of cards they should use. An arena materializes in front of the players, in which a lonely silhouette of a person can be seen. The light illuminates a person in the arena, and it turns out to be an extremely expressive presenter, who introduces himself by the name Dance. Sam notes that even the host hasn't changed a bit since their last meeting. Players publicly express dissatisfaction with Dance's appearance, saying that it would be better if some beautiful girl performed instead of him. Dance doesn't appreciate the criticism and throws a microphone at one of the players, saying that he is a professional MC, so their caustic comments are inappropriate. However, after a second, he pulls himself together and asks for forgiveness for this excess, after which he says that it's time to explain the rules of the second round. He reveals that the players are now in a tower filled with traps and monsters, adding that they need to reach the top, passing floor by floor, and only in this way will they be able to achieve victory. According to him, the difficulty increases with each floor, but each player during the game will receive 3 types of different cards as a reward. There are 3 types of cards in total, of which the red cards are the attack card, the yellow card corresponds to the goods card, and the blue card corresponds to the effect cards. A girl appears among the players and tells Dance that many players do not have weapons and equipment, so if they meet a monster on the first floor, the game will immediately end for them. The crowd picks up on this and asks Dance why he can't give them the weapons from the previous round, adding that they can't start the game empty-handed. Dance says players now have the opportunity to spend points on cards that are selling at the lowest price. He adds that the cost per card is an incredibly modest 1,000 points. Players begin to actively protest, saying that this price is too unfair, and players with low points are left out of business. Dance tells the players not to invent illusions for themselves, since even in this game the strong become stronger and the weak become weaker, as this is the true nature of the world. He adds that some players manage to get out of the first round due to luck, but this tower will eliminate all the weaklings from the competition. The expressive presenter says that they have half an hour to decide whether they should buy cards, but after the game starts, this option will be blocked. The players become discouraged and decide not to spend many points since they won't be able to win this competition anyway. Dance says the players are too hesitant for those in the second round and is surprised that they decided to give up before the second round even started. One of the players raises his hand and says that he would like to buy himself some cards. Dance hears the player's voice and turns around sharply to get a good look at the player. He tells the player that he should think carefully, since one card is worth 1,000 points. The person willing turns out to be Sam, who asks the presenter to sell him 7 cards. Dance looks at Sam in surprise, telling him to quit his jokes, because we are talking about 7,000 points. Suddenly, the players recognize Sam, saying that he is the player in first place in terms of points. Sam smugly lowers his head and says that they were truly brave because it was he himself. Players immediately begin to remember all his achievements, saying that he is a cheater who uses cheats. Sam loses his temper and says that he has never cheated or used cheats in his life. However, the crowd of players is not impressed by his heartfelt statements and continues to insist on his own. Sam takes out his spear and tells the other players that if they hate him so much, then they have a few options. He adds that anyone can try to kill him this round if they want to. One of the players calls Sam a pathetic braggart, adding that he will definitely deal with him this round. Other players pick up on this idea, promising to smash Sam into the wall as soon as they get the chance. The girl watches Sam's act of narcissism and mentally admits that he irritates her very much. Dance watches what is happening and mentally notes that the morale of the players is gradually increasing because of Sam. Sam turns to the host again and says that he still wants to buy 7 cards and asks him if there's any problem with this. Dance smiles broadly and says that the buyer's word is law to him, after which he snaps his fingers. A whole bunch of cards appear in front of Sam, turned face down towards him, and Dance says that the cards in the store are randomized and wishes him good luck. Sam thinks about it and realizes that since the order of the cards is random, his memories from the past will not help him in any way in this situation. He decides to poke at random and chooses a random card that catches his eye. He says that he will now show everyone what the power of a player with exceptional luck really is. The room is illuminated by golden light, and the players shout that they don't believe that the main character got the rarest card possible. Sam realizes that he has hit an incredible jackpot and decides to see what he got for the prize. Unfortunately, Sam gets a card that is a joke from the developers, since it does absolutely nothing despite its rarity. Players look at Sam's card in bewilderment, not understanding why, with a cost of 1,000 points, such ridiculous copies can be found among them. Sam decides that he doesn't need this card and throws it into the air, after which, with a slight movement of his spear, he cuts it in half. The players are shocked that Sam got rid of items worth 1,000 points so easily, even though he had extremely low practicality. Dance says the company won't refund points for torn cards, asking other players to be more reasonable. Sam replies that it's okay since it's just a small amount of points that he can easily earn back. Sam continues looking through the cards, deciding to choose one for his collection. Turning his gaze to the other half of the deck, he decides to tear up a few random cards that he doesn't like. As a result, Sam chooses 3 cards, saying that he won't need more cards. The players look at Sam's action and say that wasting points left and right is a very unwise and stupid act. Sam turns to the players and says that if they doubt, they will definitely lose. After these words, the players, one by one, also express a desire to purchase cards with all their money in order to try their luck. Dance asks everyone to take their time and follow the first-come, first-serve rules, adding that there are enough cards for everyone. The girl looks at Sam in surprise, not believing that Sam restored everyone's will to fight with just one action. Sam leaves, saying that if there are too few participants, the game will become incredibly boring. After some time, Sam and several other players approach the ground floor of the challenge tower. According to the presenter, they are at the bottom of an endless tower, where each flight of stairs will take them to a random level, so players are free to choose any floor. Sam turns back and asks the players why they are following him. The players do not want to admit the truth and deny it, telling Sam to stop being so smug. Sam mentally says that these players have no shame or conscience at all and decides to come up with some kind of plan. The girl looks at this scene and wonders if these players really think that following an expert can increase their chances of winning. Sam hastily comes up with a plan and admits that he has no choice but to resort to forbidden techniques. With these words, he sharply points his fingers behind the players' backs and shouts that the pretty girl has decided to bare herself. Players immediately take the bait and turn back, trying to find the beauty in question. However, behind them is only the presenter, who suddenly decided to bare himself in front of the players. The players throw garbage at the leader, saying that they don't want to see him, asking him to get the hell out. One of the players turns around and notices Sam is missing, shouting to the others that this crook has fooled them. Sam decides not to waste time and gets on his feet as quickly as possible so that no one will interfere with him in the future. Meanwhile, Sam's adventures are closely watched by the corporation's executive director. An assistant comes to his office and asks him about the situation with the second round, asking whether there are any discrepancies. The assistant replies that the only blank spot is Sam, since he not only took first place in the ranking, but was also significantly ahead of the second player in points, and had already earned at least 2 achievements. The executive asks the assistant if they have noticed any anomalies in the system or evidence that Sam is using any methods of deception. The assistant says that this player is inexplicably acting as if he is very familiar with the game, adding that there is a possibility that data about the game will be leaked to the outside world. The director says that the content of the second round is completely randomized, so even if there was some kind of leak, none of it will help Sam, after which he orders the assistant to organize the most powerful monster for Sam. The assistant replies that according to the rules, The company cannot interfere with the course of the game, not to mention the strongest monster that is impossible to cope with. The executive director asks the assistant how he dares to disobey his order. The assistant slavishly replies that all his orders will be carried out immediately and leaves. Sam finds himself on the second floor of an endless tower and decides to look around to see what kind of tests lie ahead of him. Sam remembers that the first level challenge is combat and wonders what kind of enemy he will face. Suddenly, an incredible roar is heard next to him, and he sees the paw of a huge monster stopping right in front of him. Looking up, he examines the monster standing in front of him and says that this must be some kind of joke. An 8-headed demonic dragon stands in front of the main character in all its glory. The dragon lets out a loud roar, and Sam asks the monster when he last brushed his teeth, noting that he smells disgusting. The dragon once again lets out a loud roar and prepares to launch a powerful attack with several heads. Sam joyfully looks at the monster's rage and asks him if he touched a nerve. A loud explosion is heard in the place where Sam is standing, but as soon as the smoke clears, only an empty crater remains in its place. The dragon begins to breathe menacingly, trying to find its prey, and looks around menacingly. Sam looks at the monster and says that fighting this monster brings back old memories for him. He briefly plunges into the past, remembering the battle with this monster a year ago, when they tried with incredible difficulty to defeat this dragon. A year ago, Sam once again used his leadership skills and asked his allies to unite and destroy this monster, regardless of the casualties. Back in the present, Sam says that previously this monster should only be found on the upper floors and should not be found on the first floors. However, from Sam's point of view, this is a great change since he will now be able to get all the points for himself. Viewers watch Sam fight and say that he is just a crazy daredevil. Sam says that the broadcast screen must be full of comments right now wishing him death for his arrogance. The demonic dragon does not lose patience and decides to finish Sam off with a ranged attack and flares its nostrils. Opening its huge mouth, the dragon spits out a deadly wave of fire directly at the main character. Sam easily dodges the fire attack and shouts to the dragon that playing with fire does not bring anything good. With these words, he takes off and rushes to attack the dragon, saying that it's time to end this. The dragon tries to knock Sam down with a head attack, but Sam pushes off the ground and flies into the air. Having chosen the most vulnerable point, Sam falls down like a stone, pointing his spear towards the monster. Falling on the monster, he easily pierces its fire-breathing head with his spear. The mighty dragon howls in pain, beginning to shake its head from side to side. Sam says the fun is just beginning, holding tightly to his spear. Seeing the right moment, he pulls the spear from the dragon's head and uses the transformation, unlocking a new form. The new form turns out to be a deadly blade with a razor-sharp blade. He gives the dragon a cheeky look and says that he will use it to test the power of a new form of his weapon. The main character makes a powerful blow, easily cutting off the dragon's head and then jumps to the ground. The game system notifies Sam that he gets 200 points for destroying one dragon head. Sam says that at this exchange rate he will get 1,600 points for all 8 goals, adding that this is a very good deal. However, after a second, the severed dragon's head begins to regenerate and quickly grow back. Sam is very surprised by this feature of the dragon, noting that he does not remember that he had such powers the last time. According to him, a year ago this dragon was a much more honest monster than it is now. However, Sam suddenly has a brilliant idea and thinks about it for a while. Examining the dragon's head, he realizes that for one head they give 200 points, and the dragon will regenerate endlessly. However, this also means that it is a very convenient way to endlessly farm points. The dragon hears Sam's thoughts and is clearly not delighted with this situation. Sam draws his sword again and says that in this case he will take advantage of such a gift of fate. He rushes into the attack and begins to cut off the dragon's heads one by one, gaining an incredible amount of points. After a while, he blows off all the dragon's heads at once and lands in front of him. Paying attention to his score, he notices that in this short period of time he scored 8,000 points. Viewers watch Sam's adventures and say that he is definitely a crook for earning points using such dirty methods. The executive director, also observing the events, becomes furious and asks the technical staff how they could have made such a miscalculation. According to him, such a low-level farming exploit should not exist in their game. The staff says that this boss was supposed to destroy any player at this stage, so they did not expect this to happen. Another employee asks the director what they should do now, adding that they cannot change monster data. The director calls his subordinates idiots, saying that they have no choice but to add special restrictions. Turning to the monitor, he adds that Sam is truly an amazing player, since because of him they are forced to change the rules of all playing areas. Meanwhile, a system notification appears above Sam's head, which states that a new restriction has now been introduced for this round, according to which each floor must be completed within 30 minutes. Stan, who is on another server, also receives this notification and is glad that he managed to deal with all the monsters in advance. Astrid, having also successfully destroyed all her opponents, is surprised that the rules of the game are changing so dramatically. Viewers of the tournament are surprised by this turn of events and suspect that this restriction was added only to prevent Sam from being able to endlessly farm points. There is less than a minute and a half left until the end of the round, and Sam realizes that his golden time is coming to an end. He changes the shape of his spear and says that normal players would not be able to destroy all the heads in one hit. He adds that luckily he pulled out the right card for the occasion. Sam reveals his card and reveals that he owns the arrow volley card, which allows a player armed with a bow or crossbow to fire multiple arrows in one shot. With these words, Sam activates the card and it is charged with the energy of his arrows. Drawing back his bowstring, Sam decides to shoot an arrow that pierces the skies at the demonic dragon. He conjures his arrow to destroy all the heads and releases the string of his bow. A powerful shot pierces all heads simultaneously, depriving the monster of its ability to regenerate. Sam changes his weapon's shape to that of a blade and says he's not done yet. The main character makes a dash, delivering a powerful blow that cuts off all the heads at once. The huge monster falls heavily to the ground and the system rewards Sam with additional points for all destroyed heads. The severed heads of the monster begin to transform into a shining clot of energy. After a few seconds, the bundle of energy turns into valuable loot, which is an item of equipment. Sam is happy that he finally got a good loot and reads the description of a demonic dragon cloak that protects the wearer from fire attacks. The system notifies all players that a player named Sam was the first to kill the 8-headed demonic dragon and received a unique dragon cloak. The girl who was previously watching Sam on the ground floor of the tower notices this notice and hopes that she will not meet him in this competition. Meanwhile, the same notification sounds on the tournament broadcast, which is why viewers are again surprised at how Sam manages to take the best rewards. Former participants look at his successes with envy and suspect that he is an agent of the company holding this tournament. Astrid also notices this notice and says that it wouldn't hurt for Sam to act a little more modestly and not show off at every opportunity. Stan, watching this, says that he is not at all surprised that Sam shows himself to be the best. His opponent asks if he knows this divine player who is at the top of the list of players. Stan happily replies that he not only knows Sam, but is also his comrade in arms. Meanwhile, Sam decides to try on the cape and notes that despite the average attributes, the cape looks damn stylish on him. However, his next ritual of narcissism is interrupted by a system notification, which informs him that he has only 13 seconds left to move to the next floor. Sam is surprised that the timer continued to run, despite the fact that he had already dealt with the boss and calls the game unfair. However, realizing that justice is not on his side, he makes every effort to fly up the stairs at full speed to the next floor. Running up to the room, Sam kicks down the door and realizing that he made it in time, stops to catch his breath for a while. Looking up, he notices that 3 players are waiting for him in the room on the next floor, among whom is a girl whom he had previously seen at the very beginning of the tower. Having looked at her closely, he remembers that in his past life she was a very skillful and strong player. Sam introduces himself and says that he is honored to be with such a beauty. The girl replies that Sam's notoriety precedes him, so everyone in this room knows about him. A girl sitting nearby says that Sam is the strongest player among all, adding that she is his little fan and introduces herself as Martha. The older man says he never knew he would be facing 2 strong players and introduces himself as Francis. Sam decides to introduce himself again and asks the girl what her name is. The girl replies that her name is Morrigan and says that they can finish the formalities, since her only goal is to complete this floor. A screen appears in front of the players, on which a message is displayed, according to which the theme of the second floor is in Quest Room, in which players need to find a key that can open the door to the next floor. Sam admits that, unfortunately, he is very bad at all things that do not relate to combat. Martha reports that she often goes to escape rooms, so she understands them very well. Morrigan says that this game may be different from the ones Martha has previously participated in, as the difficulty is greatly increased. Sam says that if this is an escape room, they won't be able to go to the next floor until they find the key. Francis points to the box lying on the table and says that perhaps this is the key to the solution. Sam reaches for the box and says that if he is right, then this task is too easy. Sam decides to shake the box a little, but Morrigan immediately gives him a good slap on the head. Taking the box in her hands, she carefully examines it, carefully rotating it in her hands. Martha comes up to the main character and strokes his head, saying that everything will heal soon. Morrigan says that they need to be careful, as there could easily be a trap inside. Having carefully examined the box, she draws attention to the fact that there is an inscription on it, according to which the players need to find the key. Marta says that this is exactly how the quest rooms are designed, explaining that one riddle in them leads to another. Thus, having solved them all, they will be able to go through this floor. Francis says that this room is not very large, suggesting that everyone look for the key. Morrigan asks Sam what his thoughts are on this plan. Sam replies that he sees no other options and decides to join the search for the key. Players begin searching for the box, looking into every corner and checking every possible location. After some time, Morrigan says that she looked everywhere but did not find any clues. Martha says it looks like she'll have to act on her own to get everyone out of the deadlock. With that, she pulls out an effect card that helps the wearer look for clues. Sam notes that this ability is incredibly interesting, and Francis notices that the piano is illuminated in red. Sam says they were supposed to be looking for the key and wonders why the piano was the key. Morrigan says that in addition to a simple lock key, this could also mean a treble clef. She adds that if the key is the piano keys, then if you play a specific melody, the riddle will be solved. Sam sits down at the piano and says that he knows how to play the piano a little and asks his companions to give in to him. He tells Morrigan that he can play this melody without any difficulty and stretches his fingers. Martha is surprised by Sam's abilities, admiring the fact that he also has musical skills. Morrigan asks Sam if he really knows how to play the piano. Sam says that he was taught music as a child, so he can easily cope with this task. Sam says that now he will charm his companions with his musical talents and begins to perform. Sam's musical talents are only as great as his self-esteem, and he fills the room with an incredible cacophony of sounds. Morrigan decides to end Sam's life so as not to go through this torture and asks him if he really knows how to play the piano. Sam stupidly replies that in kindergarten the teacher personally taught him music lessons. Morrigan breaks free from the hands of Martha and Francis and begins to beat Sam without sparing his strength. Sam asks Morrigan why she is so cruel, saying that one of his friends has the same habits, to which Morrigan replies that now is not the time to fool around and sits down at the piano. Morrigan starts playing the piano and plays a very beautiful melody, hitting all the notes with ease. Martha enjoys the music, saying that this melody is truly divine. Francis notes that despite the fact that he is not very good at music, he really enjoys listening to Morrigan play. Morrigan completes the melody and her companions enthusiastically applaud her. The box makes a click and its lid opens, and Martha happily runs to check its contents. Sam asks Morrigan about the name of the tune she performed so skillfully. Morrigan replies that it is a very sad foreign melody called The Moth and the Flame. This name makes Sam think, and he begins to think about what it could mean. Suddenly he realizes the catch and shouts at Martha to urgently run away from the box. A small flamethrower appears next to the box and showers little Martha with a stream of flame. Sam yanks Martha away and climbs out to safety, asking the girl if she's okay. However, looking down, he sees that all that remains of the child is a charred body. Sam punches the wall in rage, saying that if he had known about this earlier, he would have saved the child. Morrigan calmly replies that Sam shouldn't blame himself, since he couldn't have known for sure that the title of the song was the key to the trap. Francis points out that Martha only lost the game and is still fine in the real world. He adds that the most important task now is to obtain the key hidden in the box. Sam looks around and says that it looks like there is no fire extinguisher here, and if the box burns to the ground, they will lose. Morrigan asks that this task be left to her and takes out the red tournament card. Morrigan's card turns out to be a tidal wave effect, allowing her to create violent waves that attack enemies. Morrigan easily puts out the fire, leaving the box safe and sound. Morrigan regrets that the fire broke out so quickly, saying that otherwise she could have saved Martha. Francis expresses the hope that no more traps await them. Sam says that in case of emergency, his coat has resistance to fire, so he will take the box. Taking the box, Sam examines the contents and is surprised that the key looks very strange. The key turns out to be 3 balls of red, yellow, and blue. A system screen appears in front of the players, which states that after breaking the glass ball, each player will receive 1 clue, adding that one of the clues will be false. But all players will have to tell about their clues and find a way to leave the floor. Sam says that if the said system is true, then they should break the balls and get the information, after which they will put all the information together and find a way out. Sam, Morgan, and Francis simultaneously break the balloons and briefly plunge into cyberspace. Sam feels the system telling him that victory requires sacrifice and returns to the real world. Opening his eyes, he tells his companions what the system told him. Morgan replies that she received a hint, which states that she needs to have an eye for the difficult path. They both ask the sadly silent Francis what clue he got. Francis says that his clue is that the door to the room will open when his comrade dies. Sam says that if this clue were real, the door would have opened when Martha died, and then concludes that it is a fake. Francis hesitantly agrees with this, saying that his hint really sounds too strange to be real. Sam puts the words of his clue together with Morrigan's and begins to think about what it might mean. Morrigan says this could mean the item they need is shaped like an eye. Sam says that he is very bored with searching for new items, adding that the methods of this game have begun to become outdated. Morrigan says that even information in books can hide some clues, asking her companions not to be so careless. Sam asks Morrigan if the item he is looking for could be an ordinary eye. Meanwhile, Francis watches with a gloomy mood as Morrigan rummages through the bookcase. Taking advantage of Morrigan's trust in him, he quietly pulls out an item card, summoning a weapon. He says that he really wants to win, and then swings his axe, asking Morrigan to die. However, Morrigan turns around and with a quick kick throws Francis away several meters. Francis hits the table, briefly stunned by the force of the impact. He reaches for an axe, but Sam's energy arrow pierces his arm, rendering him incapacitated. Morrigan looks at Francis and says that he is clearly missing something. Sam says he didn't expect Morrigan to notice either, adding that she's not that bad. Sam turns to Francis again and demands that he tell them what his clue really was. Francis holds his injured arm and desperately says that if he hadn't stopped him, they would have already won. He reveals that the clue said that he must kill his teammate in order for the door to the next floor to open. Sam continues Francis's reasoning, saying that because of this, he decided to ambush Morrigan, who seems weaker than Sam. Morrigan looks at Sam and tells him not to become arrogant for no apparent reason. Sam immediately changes his face and says that he was just joking and she shouldn't take it to heart. Sam asks Francis why he is so sure that his tip is not a fake. Francis loses his composure and says that it is obvious since Sam's clue states that victory requires sacrifice, which means they are consistent. Sam says that from a logical point of view, Francis's words make sense and he almost believed them. With these words, he takes out his sword and says that, nevertheless, he will never forgive someone who is trying to harm his comrades. Francis tearfully asks Sam not to rush things and give him another chance. However, Sam remains relentless and ends Francis' gaming session with one blow of his sword. Having wiped his sword, Sam says that all traitors will be punished as cruelly as possible. Morrigan is surprised that Sam can act so cold-blooded and cruel, despite his comical behavior. Morrigan says that Sam apparently has been betrayed before, since he reacts so strongly to Francis's behavior. Sam says he was betrayed before by the person he trusted the most. He turns his head towards Morrigan and says that now he will make every traitor pay. Sam notes that the door remained closed, which means Francis's tip was fake. Morrigan approaches the door and wonders what the 2 remaining clues might mean. Lost in thought, she accidentally presses a secret button on the door, which opens a hidden scanner. Sam approaches the door and asks Morrigan if this device is a fingerprint scanner, to which Morrigan replies that it is a retinal scanner. Sam pulls back his eyelid and says he can easily check the scanner is working. The scanner checks Sam's eye and reports that it was unable to identify the user. Sam muses that they need to get another iris from somewhere to unlock this door. Morrigan reads her clues out loud again and wonders what they might mean. Sam says that everything is clear to him, adding that if this retinal scanner is a hard choice, then they need an eye that looks at the hard choices. They turn around and look at the bust, which has an eye hidden inside, and Morrigan goes over to take it. Sam suddenly realizes that there must be a catch here and shouts at Morrigan to take her time, but she doesn't have time. Morrigan takes out the eye and turns to Sam, asking him what he means. A second later, the room is cut into 2 parts by a trap separating the 2 heroes. Sam looks at the hole that is formed and says that it is impossible to cross it even if you really want to. Sam remembers his clue and realizes that the sacrifice means that he must leave Morrigan here to get out on his own. Morrigan says that she was too careless, believing that this would be the end of her participation in the tournament. With these words, she shouts to Sam so that he does not lose his eye and throws it over the abyss into the hands of the main character. Sam deftly catches his eye and asks Morrigan why she did it. Morrigan replies that he saved her, and now she returns the favor, adding that the floor will soon collapse, so he should hurry to the next floor. Sam nods at Morrigan's words and carefully scans the room. He puts his eye to the retinal scanner and it successfully identifies him, reporting that the lock on the door is open. The door creaks open and Sam looks into the passage, flooded with sunlight. Morrigan mentally wonders at her behavior, noting that she never would have thought that she would sacrifice herself for a man she barely knew. Suddenly, an arrow with a rope attached flies near her and crashes into the wall behind her. Sam takes out a metal rod and uses it to roll towards Morrigan. Having successfully crossed the abyss, he lands next to her, holding Francis's ice axe in his hands. Morrigan examines his axe, to which Sam replies that he pulled it out of the body of their so-called comrade. Morrigan says that's not what she's interested in and asks Sam why the hell he was here. Sam says he has a plan that will get them both through this floor. He adds that this fool never used his weapon to its full potential. Morrigan says that she understood what he was getting at, to which Sam replies that he did not doubt her insight. With these words, the heroes take positions and Morrigan uses the tidal wave card, creating water. As soon as the big wave reaches the opposite edge of the abyss, Sam shouts that it's time to act and throws his axe forward. The axe crashes into the water, instantly freezing it. After a few seconds, the wave turns into a strong ice bridge, which, however, cannot last long. Morrigan tests the strength of the bridge and is surprised that their plan actually worked. Sam grabs Morrigan's hand and says they need to hurry if they want to make it on time. Morrigan asks the protagonist why he saved her, adding that if his plan had failed, they would definitely have died. Sam tells her that he didn't think about it for a second, as he would never abandon a teammate. With these words, he remembers Stan and Astrid, saying that he has friends who will also come to his aid without hesitation. Morrigan asks him who his comrades are, to which he replies that he will definitely tell about them later. After some time, they reach a room in the center of which there is a notice saying that the next stage must be completed alone. Sam tells his companion that they will have to separate, adding that they will definitely meet after this stage. Sam adds that he wishes her luck in getting through this stage. Morrigan turns around with a smile and waves at him, wishing him the same. Sam enters the emerging cyberspace and wonders what awaits him next. A second later, he notices a razor-sharp knife flying at his face at great speed. The bearer of this knife is Todd, previously killed by Sam in the first round, who screams at the protagonist to die immediately. Realizing that Todd is wearing the armor in which he killed him the first time, Sam is surprised and only manages to squeeze out a few curses at Todd. However, Todd flies next to him, killing the monster that was sneaking up on Sam from behind. Turning around, Sam can't believe his eyes and asks Todd what's going on here. Todd puts his hand on Sam's shoulder and tells him not to stand there, adding that they are at the last stage and they need to work together. Sam suspects that all the jokes about reincarnation were illusions and wonders whether what is happening is real. Absorbed in thought, he does not notice how a huge monster appears behind him, trying to devour Sam in one sitting. At that same second, out of nowhere, Stan jumps out and tells Sam that he will get the points for this monster. Swinging his sword, he cuts off the head of a huge monster with one blow. He is answered by Astrid, who says that Stan can deal with all the monsters on Earth, and she will take on the flying creatures. With these words, she makes many well-aimed shots, killing the flying monsters one by one. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a horde of monstrous beasts appears in front of the heroes, rushing headlong towards them. Morrigan comes to the aid of the heroes, who says that they are only showing off, accusing them of being unreliable. Raising her magic staff above her, she activates the instant flood skill, creating a huge tsunami. The wave instantly covers the monsters, sweeping them all off the face of the earth. Sam observes the coherence of his comrades and says that they have all become incredibly strong. Suddenly, Stan comes up behind the main character and puts his hand on his shoulder, asking him why he stands rooted to the spot. Sam turns around and sees all his comrades in full combat readiness. Astrid approaches him and asks him if he is nervous about being so close to the championship. Sam looks at Astrid and asks her what she means by that. Morrigan replies that their team's victory is in their pocket, adding that as their leader, he will be the one to receive the championship title. Todd says that it was thanks to Sam that their team was able to reach this stage and asks him not to forget about them when they take first place. Approaching the edge of the building, Sam notices huge crowds of players chanting his name. Meanwhile, in the real world, a journalist interviews one of the tournament's creators, asking him why the current stage of the competition is structured this way. The creator responds that among the tower's many stages, they have created a floor that will show players what they desire most. The journalist asks the creator why they chose such a test if the goal of the Kogi tournament is to find the best player. The creator replies that this stage is designed to test the character of the players, adding that if they cannot overcome temptation, then they will never be able to become the owner of the championship title. Meanwhile, one of the participants sees a handsome guy in her stage who says he can teach her how to play basketball. However, after a second, it turns into a terrible monster and instantly kills the unsuspecting victim. Meanwhile, Stan is in his stage hugging the girl, who hugs him and asks him to promise that they will always be close. She also turns into a terrible evil spirit who is going to finish Stan off with one blow. Stan hugs this creature tightly to him, saying that he misses him very much. But after a second, he pulls her away from him, saying that disturbing the dead in this round is too much. With these words, he grabs his machete and cuts the creature in two, pretending to be a person dear to him, passing to the next stage and receiving 1,000 points as a reward. Astrid, meanwhile, is transported to the esports arena, where she and her former squad are crowned world champions. Her teammates hug her, offering to celebrate their victory that night by going to a restaurant or karaoke. Astrid admits that she always dreamed of winning the championship as a representative of this squad. Meanwhile, her friends turn into clay monsters, trying to devour her body. However, after a second, accurate fire from pistols causes the monsters to turn into a sieve and die. Astrid looks back at the bodies of the monsters and blows away the smoke from the barrels of her weapon. She adds that she already has real friends who behave sincerely with her. Morrigan is transported to a luxurious mansion, where a whimsical melody is playing on the piano. She sits in front of him, continuing to play the beautiful melodies that she liked so much as a child. Suddenly, she hears light applause and a familiar male voice praising her efforts. Morrigan instantly recognizes this voice and turns towards the man, calling him father. Morrigan's father tells her that in a couple of years, her musical abilities will definitely surpass his own. He comes up to her and says that he will be just as happy if she does what she wants. Morrigan calmly uses the tide card, washing her father away, slamming him into the wall. Rising to her feet, she says that this test turned out to be incredibly boring, since only complete idiots would fall for this trick. Meanwhile, Sam is basking in the glory and rejoices that with such strong allies, he can easily take first place in the tournament. However, a second later, a monstrous hand penetrates through him, tearing out his heart. Turning around, Sam notices that all his comrades turned out to be monsters who were waiting for the right moment. Sam falls to the ground and expires a few seconds later, giving the monsters a reason to roar with joy. However, a second later, Sam appears behind them, saying that he gives this simulation its due, noting its veracity. Looking at the monsters, he says that his idea of using a special card before the stage was the right decision. With these words, he shows the monsters the sacrificial lamb card, which allows the bearer to create their own copy that does not have combat skills. After that, he takes out his bow, saying that he hates traitors more than anything in the world. Quickly taking aim, he shoots the monster that imitated Todd in the head and punches a huge hole in it. Without allowing the monsters to come to their senses, he rushes into the attack, instantly executing another monster. Having finished with all the monsters, he notes that these monsters are too weak, suggesting that the most difficult part of the test is overcoming the illusion. The system notifies the main character that he has successfully passed the test, awarding him 1,000 points. He turns around and sees a staircase appear, leading him to the next stage. For a second, he thinks about whether his comrades managed to cope with this test and goes inside. The fourth floor turns out to be the labyrinth of death, in which the player's health will gradually decrease, but killing other players can replenish it. The system adds that to win, the player needs to reach the very center of the maze and wishes everyone good luck. Sam doesn't have time to walk even a few tens of meters when two players appear behind him, rejoicing that they have found their next victim. Sam hears their conversations and turns in their direction, looking carefully. The players tell Sam that if they don't kill him, their health will very soon be reset and ask them not to take it personally. Sam just raises his hand in the air and starts counting down from 3. One of the players asks him what he is counting, adding that he would be better off counting the last seconds of his life. Sam doesn't pay attention to their words and continues counting down, saying that there are 2 seconds left. Another player says that Sam is just trying to seem cool, adding that he will die now and replenish their health. Sam raises one finger and gives his opponents a menacing look. At the same second, a huge tidal wave appears next to Sam's opponents. Before they have time to react, players are caught in a trap and swept away by the turbulent current. They are thrown out of the labyrinth to the lowest floor. Sam looks down at them, surprised that they couldn't hear such a loud sound of water. Without turning around, he tells the people approaching him that only Morrigan can have such a water attack. Having stood in a beautiful pose, he greets Morrigan, saying that she was delayed at the previous stage. However, in front of him is a huge, pumped-up man in a woman's suit who happily greets him. Sam looks at the new guest with undisguised surprise and asks him who he is. A second later, Morrigan approaches them and introduces the man as her classmate named Alice, adding that they met on the way here and decided to team up. Sam continues to stand rooted to the spot, even more surprised by the new details, saying that Alice's name suits her very well. Alice shyly covers herself with her hand and coquettishly asks Sam not to make her blush. Sam realizes that he has run out of all his arguments, and so he decides to just rest a little, standing still. Morrigan asks Sam why it took him so long to get here, adding that she was already beginning to think that he was dead. Sam says that these were just stupid illusions, boasting that he easily understood that they were trying to fool him. Alice sincerely admits that it was quite difficult for her to get through this stage and she almost fell for it. Sam tells Alice not to worry, because if she was able to reach this test, then she is already very strong. Alice blushes again and says that Sam is incredibly courteous and kind. She grabs Sam and asks him if he is single or has a girlfriend. Sam doesn't find the words to answer and just rushes back and forth, saying only something incomprehensible. Morrigan says that Sam is a very popular player, adding that he can give Alice a chance because she is a very good girl. Sam says that now is not the best time to think about it, adding that first of all, they need to find a way out of this damned maze. Morrigan says that in mazes there is a right-hand rule, which states that if you get into a dead end, you can walk with your right hand on the wall, and eventually you will get out of the maze. She also adds that this labyrinth is too large, and their health is gradually decreasing, so this option is not suitable for them. Sam says they can just follow him to get out of this maze. Sam begins to rummage through his pockets, saying that he didn't think that this card could be useful to him in this situation. Sam pulls out a drone card that summons a scout drone for 3 minutes. Sam says that with this map, they can easily map this labyrinth and pass this test. With these words, he launches the reconnaissance drone upward, turning it on from the control panel. The drone takes several pictures of the maze and Sam looks at the map, noting that it is too confusing. Sam says that with such a confusing maze, even a map may not help them. Morrigan intercepts the remote from Sam and says that he is too slow, adding that she has already found a way out using this map. Sam looks questioningly at Morrigan and asks her how she managed to find a way out of the maze at first sight. Alice puts her hand on the main character's shoulder and says that at school, Morrigan was recognized as a genius with the highest IQ. Meanwhile, 2 players stuck in the maze notice that they have little health left and say that even if they fail the test, they had a great time. However, a second later, one player feels himself being shot in the back from a revolver. Turning around, he sees the girl looking at him contentedly, thanking him for serving as her first aid kit. After a few seconds, a round shadow hangs over the girl, which begins to quickly increase in size. The girl looks up and sees a huge boulder falling on her at high speed. Before she can react, the girl finds herself crushed under a huge boulder. Sam arrives on the scene, saying that all the traps have been disarmed, adding that Morrigan really is a genius for being able to calculate their location. Morrigan replies that this was a very easy task, since she quickly realized that the trap was set in the Fibonacci sequence. The girl grabs Sam by the leg and asks him to help her get out of this trap. Sam agrees to help her and kills her with a quick blow of his sword. Morrigan tells Sam that he doesn't know how to be gentle at all, to which he replies that he gave the girl what she asked of him. He adds that he will under no circumstances help the traitor, even if he asks him about it on his knees. Alice approaches Sam and says that he has a very cocky and decisive character, adding that she is crazy about him, to which Sam calmly replies that he is very glad to hear that. Sam tells Morrigan that if her theory is correct, then according to the Fibonacci sequence, there will be fewer traps waiting for them at the end. Morrigan replies that this is done in order to eliminate as many players as possible at the beginning, adding that the closer they are to the exit, the faster their health will run out. At the same second, An arrow flies towards Morgan and Sam jerks it with his body. He looks around, saying that the enemies have already caught up, which means it's time for them to prepare for battle. Silhouettes of several players appear in the corridor of the labyrinth, saying that they have finally found the opportunity to gain health points. The players say that they outnumber Sam and their team, which means they don't have a chance. Sam says he's happy with the odds, adding that he's not the first to find himself in such situations. Suddenly, Alice appears behind the inattentive players, catching them by surprise. Without giving them time to come to their senses, she grabs 2 players by the heads and instantly kills them. The remaining 3 players turn back and ask each other where this monster came from. However, this exposes them to attack, and Sam immediately takes advantage of this, killing the other player with a sword. Alice charges at the remaining pair of players, who turn away from her again. Having dealt with the opponents, Alice says that it was not for nothing that she had her eye on Sam, adding that he is very strong, to which he replies that she cannot be called weak either. Meanwhile, several players reach a strange gate, suggesting that they have finally found a way out of the maze. One of the players says that he warned everyone that thanks to his X-ray glasses, they would find a way out very quickly. However, from the open door, he is immediately pierced by a fireball and the guy immediately falls dead. The players are surprised by the ambush and decide to look inside the hall to understand who killed their comrade. A small light lights up in the darkness, and a child's voice joyfully says that new prey has finally arrived. The hall begins to be illuminated by dim light, and the players notice that at the end of the hall, a little girl is sitting on the gate. She asks the players why they don't let her burn them all to the ground. The players grab their weapons and decide not to stand on ceremony with the impudent girl rushing to the attack. They shoot at her from all calibers, and because of this, she disappears from view for some time. However, as soon as the smoke clears, the players face a tall man who covered the girl and did not receive a single scratch. One of the players points his finger at the man and girl in horror, saying that he has heard about this couple. According to him, their names are Dorothy and Dell, and they are known for only getting points from killing players. The players decide not to drift and say that there are still many more of them, which means they have a chance to kill them. Dorothy happily says that in this case she will be happy to play with them and takes out a red effect card. A few seconds later, a powerful explosion is heard in the labyrinth, which can be observed from any point. Morgan and Sam notice the huge pillar of flame and wonder what's going on there. Sam says that things are only getting more interesting and offers to go there to find out. Approaching the site of the explosion, they discover a large number of charred bodies piled in a heap. Entering the hall, Sam and his comrades see Dell sitting on a pile of bodies and asks him if he killed everyone else alone. Alice hides behind Sam and says that she is very scared, asking him to comfort her. And Morgan says that they should all be careful, since all these players were killed by a powerful fire spell. Dell just chuckles slightly as he watches Sam and his squad, mentally saying goodbye to them. Sam realizes that there is some kind of trap here and pushes Alice aside. A second later, a bright stream of fire flies into the place where they stood, incinerating the floor. Dorothy appears out of nowhere, revealing an invisibility card in her hand, which allows the wearer to gain invisibility, which dissipates upon the first attack. Dell tells Dorothy to be careful, adding that Sam doesn't look like a weakling. Alice says that she is not used to guys jumping on her, adding that such things really embarrass her. Sam slaps Alice on the cheek, telling her to pull herself together and be more serious. Dorothy points at Sam and says that she remembers him, saying that he is the first on the list of players in points. Sam realizes that he again has the opportunity for narcissism and says that they guessed correctly and it really is him. Alice again lovingly watches Sam, saying that he is an incredibly modest person, and Morgan says that she is starting to get tired of this circus. Dell says this is all starting to get interesting, adding that since Sam is in first place, he must have a lot of good loot. Dell rushes to the attack, saying that he was lucky to find such prey, because now all of Sam's things will go to him. Sam takes out his spear and says that if Dell wants it so bad, he can try to take them away. Alice bursts into the fray, saying that Dell won't dare touch her man without her knowledge. Sam looks at Alice and shouts at her to be careful and not get into trouble. Alice slams her fist into Dell's fist, creating a powerful shockwave. The force of the blow sends Alice flying into the wall at full speed, and Sam watches as a large column of smoke rises from the impact. Sam asks Alice if she's okay, and Morgan is genuinely surprised that someone could beat Alice in a fistfight. Alice says she felt like she broke her arm, surprised that Dell's fist could be so strong. Sam says that if he remembers correctly, Then the pair are scoreboard experts, adding that they are different from all the opponents they have previously faced. Del says that his body has a special effect called Mountain Body, which allows the user's body to become as strong as rock, greatly increasing defense and attack. Del completely turns his body into stone and says that despite the fact that Sam is in first place, he will not survive the meeting with him. He prepares for battle and asks Sam if he is ready to die right now. Sam only tells Del that he looks extremely ugly, which provokes him into a furious jump attack. Using his agility, Sam easily dodges, jumping to the side. The main character notes that despite everything, Del has extremely powerful attacks. However, distracted by his thoughts, Sam does not have time to notice Del, who is approaching him at incredible speed, preparing to deliver a fatal attack. However, Sam caught himself in time and dodges the attack, noticing that Del was exposed to attack. Realizing that his turn has come, he delivers a confident blow, trying to pierce Del's stone body with a spear. However, the spear does not cause any significant damage to Del and only slightly scratches his stone skin. Sam is surprised by what he sees, not understanding how it was possible to obtain such absolute protection from physical damage. Del grins disdainfully, saying that he expected more from the person who is in first place in the points table. Saying that he is very disappointed, Del inflicts a powerful kick on the main character, throwing him back. Alice screams Sam's name and rushes to help intercept him in mid-flight. Alice fails to slow down Sam, and together they fly into a stone wall. They crash into the barrier with force, but Alice softens the blow with her body, which is why Sam escapes with less damage. Sam asks Alice if she's okay, adding that she's dead. Alice squeezes out the words that she is glad that she was able to catch Sam. Looking up, Sam sees a hail of fiery meteorites falling on him and Alice, threatening to incinerate them in seconds. However, suddenly a water barrier created by Morgan begins to appear in front of them. The wave obscures the heroes, completely neutralizing the fiery threat from Dorothy. Dorothy says that Morgan has a very interesting toy since she was able to block her swarm of meteorites. Morgan replies that Dorothy is not the only one who can use elemental abilities and again uses the tidal wave card. At that same second, Del rushes towards Dorothy to defend his companion. Del blocks the strong flow of water with her body, thanks to which Dorothy remains completely unharmed. Morgan runs up to Sam and Alice and asks them if they are safe and if they are all right. Alice apologizes to her companions and says that unfortunately she will not be able to get up. Sam leans over to Alice and says no matter what she does, adding that they can handle it. Sam says that now he will help them win this battle, and Morgan replies that he will not let him take all the laurels. Del says that he and Dorothy are the perfect team, adding that they will all die. Sam rushes back into battle with his spear, saying it's time for the real fun to begin. Del also rushes forward and strikes Sam, stopping him instantly. Immediately, a swarm of fiery meteorites falls on Sam and Del, one of which hits the protagonist's opponent directly. Sam is surprised that Del has so much energy for random attacks. Del replies that his body is not only skilled in attack and defense, but is also immune to any attacks from fire and water, adding that his strength increases more the higher his temperature. He throws another punch, trying to break through Sam's block, and adds that their team is invincible. Sam's spear cannot withstand these blows, and the tip breaks off the shaft and falls to the ground, sticking into it. Sam says the combination of heat and a stone body is great, adding that Del came up with a very interesting strategy. Del says that even Sam's weapon could not withstand the onslaught and broke, after which he asks the main character if he wants to give up. Sam adds that despite this, he was finally able to find his weak spot. Del tells Sam to stop acting tough and calmly accept his death. With these words, Del delivers a powerful blow to Sam's face, but he easily dodges. Sam suddenly appears behind Del and tells Morgan that the time has come for her to attack. Del turns to Morgan and is hit by a huge tidal wave, instantly cooling him. Del slowly walks forward while large clouds of steam emanate from his body. Del says in disappointment that he expected more from them than a simple splash of water. Sam explains that after reaching such a high temperature and instantly cooling down, major changes will occur to his body. After these words from Sam, Del's body begins to fade and crack. Del examines his body and sees large pieces starting to fall off. Infuriated, he asks Sam what they did with his body. Sam tells him that everyone has weaknesses, no matter their position or rank. He adds that Del does have incredibly strong defenses, but because of this, he cannot dodge magical attacks. Sam says he took advantage of this to stall for time until his ally made his body red hot. However, if a hot stone is cooled sharply, then due to thermal expansion, any stone will simply break. Morgan tells Sam to stop fooling around and get down to business. Del says that it doesn't matter to him anymore because in any case he will have time to kill Sam. Sam says that Del is telling the truth, but because he has cooled down, he has become much slower. He adds that on top of this, he has become very fragile and thrusts a spear into his back. Del lets out a loud scream, and this attracts a mysterious player who understands which way the exit is and goes to it. Sam turns and says that now all that remains is to deal with that small and annoying girl. However, suddenly they notice that the girls have disappeared and are not in danger. Morgan says that she had an invisibility card so she could use it in the chaos and escape. Morgan adds that now she won't cause them any problems in any case, and offers to check what kind of reward they got. Del starts coughing and Sam jumps in fright, surprised that he didn't die after that. Del says that Sam really deserves the right to first place, adding that it shouldn't go to his head. He adds that even if he was able to defeat him, he will meet other opponents who will be much stronger than him, to which Sam replies that he already knows that. Del pulls out the self-destruct card and asks him what he has to say about it. Sam covers Morgan with himself, advising her to run away and mentally understands that he will not have time to stop the activation of self-destruction. However, suddenly someone cuts off Del's hand with a lightning strike. Del turns to the side and cannot believe his eyes, continuing to look frantically ahead. In the next second, the first blow is followed by dozens of others, and Del's body turns into a sieve. Sam turns towards the stranger and says that he recognizes this arrogant style of hitting. The stranger says that Del should bloom with blood in this glorious moment like a flower. Sam says that he recognizes this player, adding that he always spoke very strangely. The stranger introduces himself as a swordsman named Lee Han, looking at Sam and Morgan with interest. Morgan asks him what he wants and pulls out her tidal wave map, but Sam stops her. Sam mentally remembers that Lee Han was very strong, and before he did not have the opportunity to fight him. With these words, he briefly plunges into memories, and before his eyes there appear pictures of Lee Han standing on a mountain of corpses. Lee Han continues to look at Sam curiously, and after a few seconds recognizes him, saying his name. Sam tells Lee Han that he was not mistaken, and it is really him. Lee Han says that Sam is injured, adding that he does not fight weakened opponents, after which he calmly turns around and walks past the main character. Sam feels annoyed that Lee Han took advantage of him to make himself look cool, but Morgan is not impressed by this behavior and says that Lee Han looks like a child. Lee Han approaches the hall's gate and unsheathes his katana to perform the ritual. With 2 quick swings, he creates a cross-shaped wave that floods the hall with blue light. Turning around, he tells Sam that he is weak, adding that they will definitely fight, but only when he becomes stronger. Alice, having finally assumed her usual form, hugs Sam and asks him which form he likes best, adding that for his sake she is ready to take any. Sam, not used to female attention, breaks into a smile and says that he likes both of them. Suddenly he turns his gaze to Morgan, and her stern appearance instantly makes him cheer up and come to his senses. He tells Alice to concentrate and invites everyone to go to the center of the maze. The system notifies that the number of players remaining in the maze becomes 0. However, the silence that reigned in the labyrinth is instantly broken by Alice, who, taking on a stone form, makes her way through the walls of the labyrinth to the center. Having made a way for her team, she admits that she is very tired and goes into her usual form. Sam jumps over the ruins, saying that he knew that breaking through walls was the most effective method, while Morgan, following him, says that only he could have thought of that. Having reached the center of the maze, our heroes discover a system notification that congratulates them on completing the maze, adding that they are now given 30 minutes to create a team of 4 people to complete the next stage. Sam reads the text and notes that this time, fortunately, the rules remained the same. Morgan says that according to her guesses, the test at the next level will be between teams, and those who came here first will be the first to team up with stronger players. Alice says that in her opinion, they do not need a 4th teammate, since the 3 of them are already doing a great job. Sam replies that he doesn't agree with her, adding that there is another person he really wants to see on his team. After 27 minutes, the center of the maze is filled with people who were able to reach the exit, and everyone begins to look for a team. Some players say that they need 2 people who have at least 2 ability cards. Other players try to put pressure on Pity, asking to be taken on the team and promising to do whatever they are asked. One of the players approaches the girl and asks her if they need a teammate, saying that he has 2 cards and is very strong. Alice, to whom this request was sent, takes off her sunglasses and examines the applicant. She refuses the player, saying that he is blocking her rays of the sun, adding that he cannot be stronger than her, which means he is not suitable for them. Morgan says that there are 3 minutes left until the end of the countdown, and the person Sam was waiting for didn't come in the end. Sam says that this man is already nearby, adding that he can smell his scent a mile away. Players are surprised at where sakura petals began to appear next to them and begin to look around. Lee Han arrives at the center of the labyrinth, saying that he was late because he walked here along a long path. Players look at Lee Han with bewilderment and call him a strange eccentric. Sam says that this scent of arrogance cannot be confused with anything, and Morgan asks Sam in disappointment whether he has been waiting for this all this time. Sam greets Lee Han and asks him if he would like to join his team, adding that they are just 1 person short. Lee Han says that he is forced to refuse the protagonist, since from his point of view he only needs himself to win. The system notifies all players that there is 1 minute left in the preparation phase, adding that all players without teams will be disqualified. Sam says that Lee Han will still have to join the team, adding that in a team with Sam, his chances of winning will increase exponentially. Lee Han asks Sam to clarify how his chances of winning will improve. Sam says that if they are on the same team as Lee Han, then they won't have to be rivals and won't fight so early. Lee Han replies that there is a certain logic to this and says that there is nothing wrong with forming a team. Sam tells Lee Han that he is glad to welcome him to his team and shakes his hand. The countdown ends, and all players who did not have time to form a team are automatically disqualified. The system notifies players that each team must choose 1 door and continue their adventure in the Endless Tower. Sam and his team choose a door and head towards the final stage of the 2nd round. After some time, they find themselves in a dungeon, in which there is an arena with metal bars. Morgan carefully examines the arena and assumes that they are in the final test. The system welcomes players to the final challenge, called the Cage of Death, during which a team must choose 1 representative to enter the cage and fight against the other team until it runs out of members. Alice says that if they fight one-on-one, then victory is in their pocket. The system adds that all players who are defeated in a cage will not be able to advance further, regardless of the team's result. Alice adds that with this rule, the one who enters the cage first will be at the greatest disadvantage. Sam says that this is true, adding that the players who fight at the beginning can be considered victims, saying that the first player will have to fight 4 players in a row. Lee Han says that the creators of this round specifically came up with this rule in order to create conflict within the team. Morgan says that since all the teams are temporary, it is unlikely that anyone will sacrifice themselves for the sake of the team. The system asks teams to choose their candidate within 1 minute, adding that otherwise the entire team will be disqualified. All 4 players on Sam's team raise their hands and express their desire to be a candidate. Surprised by this outcome of events, all members of the squad look at each other. Sam concludes that their team seems to be different from everyone else. Lee Han says that he can go first since he can easily eliminate 4 players. Sam says that he just invited Lee Han to the team, so it would be rude to send him first. Morgan tries to stop Sam, telling him that it is very unsafe. Sam tells her not to worry, adding that he will be the greatest player and will not die in such a simple test. Alice looks at Sam happily, saying that he really is the right man for her. Sam enters the arena and the metal gates creak shut behind him. He mentally notes that the essence of the last test has not changed at all from his last time. A second later, several kunai fly at him, but he easily deflects them, saying that these pathetic tricks do not impress him. A player in a ninja uniform appears in the arena, and Sam says that he should let Lee Han go first to watch the battle between the samurai and the ninja. The ninja replies that it doesn't matter, since he will have to fight him anyway after he finishes off Sam. With these words, he creates a large number of copies of himself using the cloning technique. Sam says it's just an effect of the card, adding that this guy just watched a lot of ninja movies. The ninja attacks Sam, telling him that he cannot defeat his endless clones. Sam grabs his spear and easily destroys the clumsy opponent. After this, he rushes to the attack, smashing one clone after another with his spear. However, after a while, he finds himself surrounded again and takes a short pause to catch his breath. The ninja tells Sam that his efforts are useless, since in the end, he will still not defeat the army of clones. Sam disappointedly asks his opponent why he doesn't get points for killing his clones, adding that he wanted to use him for grinding. With these words, he turns his spear into a bow and says that from now on he will not waste his time. Pulling the bowstring, he uses the Hail of Arrows effect card and shoots all the shadow clones in one volley. Sam's opponent falls to his knees and wonders how this is possible, lamenting that his army of clones was destroyed in a second. Sam tells his opponent that to defeat him, his opponent should use something like Chibaku Tensei or Shinra Tensei. He adds that he should go back and train better and impales the enemy with his spear. However, the enemy immediately dissipates like a cloud of smoke, leaving Sam confused. The ninja jumps on Sam from behind and says that if anyone needs to train, it should be him. He pierces Sam's body with a kunai, but this also turns out to be an illusion. The ninja cannot believe his eyes and tries to understand how this is even possible. Sam, appearing behind his opponent, raises his sword and tells his opponent that he shouldn't have stood up to him like that. He delivers a lightning strike, instantly killing the ninja, adding that only a fool would show off in front of a professional. A frail middle-aged man appears in front of Sam and says that the first round ended too quickly. He looks at his fallen comrade and says that cosplaying as a ninja was a mistake, adding that this is why he lost so quickly. Sam stretches his joints, expressing the hope that this match will please him with at least something interesting. Viewers watching Sam's endless narcissism begin to write wishes of good luck in the chat, along with angry comments with the hope of his defeat. The man says that the player in the ninja suit was just a decoy, adding that Sam doesn't look that strong. Sam says that with the permission of his opponent, he will demonstrate his full strength to him. The man takes out his R2 and activates an ability called Slippery Type. Sam rushes to attack, but the man easily dodges all of his lightning attacks thanks to the card's effect. Sam notes that his opponent is indeed slippery, adding that there is no way he can hit him even with his fastest attacks. The man says that he doesn't care how fast Sam attacks, adding that as long as his attacks remain imperfect, he can easily dodge them. Sam jumps back, telling his opponent that he's tired of this nonsense. He says that he will now give his opponent a try without the blinds and attacks him with a storm attack. The attack easily hits the enemy, causing serious damage. Sam says that if all his opponent can do is dodge blows, then he can't beat him. The man tells Sam that he is too naive even for his age. He looks at Sam with an arrogant look and says that Sam probably did not fight at his full strength during the last battle and is still hiding the cards that he wants to use as a trump card. Sam replies that this is quite obvious, adding that no one starts their game with trump cards. The man says that this is just wonderful, adding that now his trump cards belong to him. Sam searches his pockets and realizes that the man stole his card right in the middle of the fight. The man draws a steal skill card, which allows him to steal one of his opponent's unused cards and apply its effect. Sam accuses his opponent that he deliberately closed the distance with him just to steal his trump cards. The man happily takes out the stolen card and says that now Sam will lose miserably. Sam's face changes sharply and says that his opponent should be more careful with the card he stole. The man tells Sam that it is too late to beg for mercy and activates the stolen card, turning his gaze to it. However, after taking a closer look at the stolen card, he realizes that he stole Sam's self-destruct card, which he took from Dell. Sam bursts into laughter, saying that his opponent suffered an incredible setback. The man looks at his hands and realizes that he is about to explode and die. Falling into despair, he runs at Sam, saying that if he dies, he will take Sam with him. Jumping on the main character, the man says that there is no point in running away, adding that they will still turn into ashes together. A second later, a powerful explosion occurs, obscuring Sam's team's view. Alice begins to lament sadly, but Morrigan says that she is despairing too early. The smoke clears and Sam appears before them, using the stone body map he borrowed from Alice. Morrigan asks Alice why she didn't tell her about this before, adding that she was seriously afraid for Sam's fate, to which Alice replies that she simply forgot about it. Sam tells his opponent that stealing never leads to anything good. His opponent's ashes are scattered and Sam is awarded another 500 points for winning the battle. Alice congratulates Sam on his victory, saying that he fought well, while Morrigan says that he used almost all his cards, despite the fact that there were still 2 unknown opponents left. Sam's next opponent is a harmless girl who tells Sam that he easily defeated her friends. She adds that, in truth, she is unlikely to be able to defeat him and begs him to help her, promising to surrender without delay if he fulfills her request. Sam replies that he would never refuse such a stunning beauty. The girl admits that she is an ordinary streamer, adding that all she wanted to get from the competition was PR. She says that if she plays a round with someone famous, It will be a great chance to increase her popularity. Sam says that even then, they can't just stand still and do nothing. The girl replies that she has an idea on how to make her stream more popular and offers to play the game. She adds that she wants to play rock, paper, scissors with Sam and asks him if he is comfortable with such options. Sam says that despite the fact that this is the first time in his life he has seen such a beautiful girl and has no idea what she's going to do, he will never refuse such a request. Morgan is indignant at Sam's behavior and calls him an idiot, asking him to quickly finish off the girl so as not to delay the test. However, Lee Han puts his hand on Morgan's shoulder and asks her to take her time, adding that he is interested in seeing how events develop. Meanwhile, Sam and his opponent begin the first round of their game, in which the main character easily wins. Sam happily says that he won, demanding that the girl take off her jacket. The streamer slowly undresses, telling Sam not to put so much pressure on her. Sam raises his head and shouts that he is providing a special service to all of today's viewers. After 5 minutes of continuous play, Sam asks his opponent if she wants to continue playing, adding that they might simply be banned. The streamer tells him that she doesn't mind stopping it, adding that he turned out to be unexpectedly bad at such games. Sam looks at how the streamer left him in his underwear, losing only once, and realizes that such games really are not his strong point. Sam says that since this carnival is over, they can fight, to which the streamer replies that the battle has already begun and asks him to look at his feet. Having come to his senses, Sam realizes that he is standing in a pile of quicksand, which does not allow him to get out. The streamer says that her card can create quicksand from which it is impossible to escape. She adds that this trap only takes a while to activate, which is why she decided to play this game with him. Sam realizes that the sands are beginning to suck him deeper and deeper, and soon he will lose the ability to move. The streamer screams that all his efforts are useless, adding that the faster he moves, the more he will be sucked in. Alice begins to get upset again, begging Sam not to lose and to go with her to the next round. But Morgan continues to remain strong, saying that this idiot does not give up so easily. The streamer says that for the first number in points, Sam shows himself too weak. With the last of his strength, Sam pulls the map out of the sand, summoning a scout drone. A flying drone immediately appears from the ceiling of the arena and descends towards Sam's location. Sam manages to grab the drone's legs with his hand and commands it to take off. The drone easily pulls Sam out of the sand, lifting him higher and higher above the sand. Sam summons his sword and says that the streamer's trap did not impress him at all. With these words, he falls down like a stone, cutting his rival with one blow of a sharp sword. The system again rewards Sam for defeating his opponent, adding 500 points to his account. Morgan again calls Sam an idiot, saying that he always takes risks where he could have taken the simpler route. Sam gets dressed and mentally notes that he has no cards left that are not on cooldown, which means he will have to somehow get out. Turning around, he notices that his last opponent is Dorothy, who is already well known to him. Sam is surprised that she is the final opponent, to which the girl asks him if he was expecting someone else. Sam begins to show off, saying that he expected his last opponent to be someone who had not lost to him in the past. Dorothy tells Sam that she is well aware of all the previous rounds that left Sam with no cards. She creates a fireball and says that this time she will avenge her friend Dell. Sam jumps to the side in an attempt to dodge Dorothy's fiery attacks. He summons his bow and takes aim, mentally remembering that his opponent's body is far from being so strong, and only one hit will be enough for him. However, Sam immediately realizes that Dorothy has used her invisibility card and is nowhere to be seen. Sam says that this was to be expected, trying to understand where he should now look for his rival. Dorothy watches the protagonist, mentally telling herself that as long as she is invisible, Sam will not be able to do anything to her. Taking advantage of the opportunity, she again rains down a swarm of meteors on Sam, but thanks to her reflexes, he manages to dodge the deadly attack. Alice says it's not fair since Dorothy is still using cards that give her invisibility. After some time, Sam says that he has found his rival. Taking out his bow, he begins to aim in Dorothy's direction, casting a hail of arrows. Dorothy realizes that Sam is bluffing because he can't see her. However, Sam raises his arrow upward, ending the skill's activation. Dorothy looks up and mentally wonders what kind of strange things Sam is up to. The arrows fired by Sam upward after a while rush down, covering a large area. A hail of arrows falls to the ground, landing all over the arena, embedding itself in the sand. Sam turns around, trying to find Dorothy's body, but realizes that something has gone wrong. A huge fiery hurricane rises in front of his face, moving towards him at high speed. Before he can dodge, Sam suffers serious damage and flies several meters back. Morrigan loses her cool and calls out Sam's name in concern, hoping he's okay. Morrigan that this fire was too strong, so Sam is unlikely to survive, and Alice cannot restrain herself at all, starting to cry. Dorothy says that he almost hit her with his attack, but he was simply unlucky and she remained unharmed. However, noticing that Sam was still moving, she looked at him in surprise, not understanding how this was possible. Sam praises Dorothy for her efforts, saying that he would definitely not survive another attack like this. He then points his bow at Dorothy and says that he can see her now. Dorothy mentally tells herself that this is impossible, since she must remain invisible. Realizing that Sam is aiming at her for a reason, she decides to change position, running across the sand to the side. Sam gets up and strings his bow, saying that it's all over now. Letting go of the bowstring, he hits Dorothy squarely in the chest, killing her on the spot. He approaches the defeated girl and tells her that in the end, she lost. Dorothy asks Sam how he was able to see her despite being invisible. Sam says that it was all just a bluff, explaining that he hasn't seen her all this time. He adds that he was only able to see her when she began to move across the sand and he noticed her tracks. Dorothy says that this is sand from the last fight and asks Sam if he thought of this from the very beginning. Sam calmly replies that it was all just a ridiculous accident. Dorothy is surprised by this coincidence of circumstances, realizing the stupidity of the situation. Dorothy laughs, saying that unfortunately she couldn't avenge Dell, but admits that it was a very fun game. Dorothy's body disappears, and the system notifies Sam that his last opponent has been defeated, awarding him another 500 points. The test ends, and the system congratulates Sam and his entire squad on their victory. The system says that as a reward, each advanced player can choose the effect of a card and turn it into their skill, and the remaining cards will be bought back at a cost of 500 points per card. Astrid watches the system notification, which states that Sam will receive an additional title and several rewards for coping against 4 players alone. Stan, who also saw this notice, sincerely laughs and says that brother Sam now owes them all dinner. Sam mentally rejoices that this achievement has not changed at all, adding that the reward was worth all the costs. Lee Han tells Sam that he now sees right through him and his plans. Sam says that Lee Han is too strong for him to just defeat him, after which he invites him to join the squad on a permanent basis. Lee Han says that Sam is indeed a very interesting guy and promises to think about it. 3 days after the recording of the second round is repeated, the presenter says that the third round will begin very soon. Martha, who is watching the broadcast, says that Sam is incredibly strong, adding that she does not regret at all that she was burned alive. Also somewhere in the real world, Dorothy tugs at Dell's sleeve and tells him she wants some cotton candy. Looking at her, he says that this is the last time she twists ropes out of him. Sometime later, the doorbell rings in Sam's apartment in the real world. He opens the door and sees all the members of his team come to visit him, joyfully greeting him. After some time, Sam and Stan decide to fight in a fighting game, and Stan easily defeats the main character. Alice looks into the kitchen and asks Astrid and Morrigan what they are cooking, offering her help. Morrigan replies that if Alice just sits quietly on the sofa, she will already be doing them an invaluable service. Astrid agrees with Morrigan's words and adds that the kitchen is a woman's battlefield. Alice says that she's also a girl, but decides not to argue with them. Astrid mentally reflects that she could not believe that Sam could meet such a well-mannered girl as Morrigan. Morrigan, meanwhile, is also secretly watching Astrid and mentally wondering who she might be. After a while, the girls start cooking and set a luxurious table. Astrid and Morrigan exchange compliments about the quality of the food. Alice tells Stan that she feels a certain competitive spirit, to which he tells her that she should talk less and eat more. Sam says that they gathered here not only for the sake of delicious food and offers to talk about the next round. Morrigan says she heard from Astrid that Sam can predict what will happen in the next rounds. Sam mentally notes that one of the downsides of being reborn is that he can't just tell them the truth, so he has to make up excuses. Sam says that he simply analyzes what is happening and understands the logic of the level creator, adding that after some practice, it becomes very easy. A few hours later, Sam finishes talking about the next round and tells the departing guests that it starts tomorrow night. Stan and Sam's other comrades say that then they will see each other tomorrow and says goodbye to him. Sam tells Stan that the girls don't mind if they all stay at his place overnight. Stan refuses, saying that tomorrow he and his daughter are going to his wife's grave to put everything in order and to pray. Sam puts his hand on Stan's shoulder and asks him to tell her he said hi. Stan smiles and says that if she knew that he would meet such friends, she would also be very happy. After some time, he welcomes all players with the start of the third round of the competition, adding that this round is called Iron Hooves and Endless Borders, during which each player finds himself in his own time period of heroes and chaos under different personalities.